Hello and welcome everybody to week 7 of the BOL Masters event here. And we are in the final week prior to playoffs. We've got two powerhouse teams. I am your color caster, Yippie, here with a familiar face for the Masters people. I would say the most consistent member of the Masters crew, considering me and Yanni typically should be the ones casting. But we've got Thousand here. Thousand, you have been, I think, in here every single week other than one, correct?
Yeah, there was a week I think it was a week that I still was like y'all needed somebody to fill in and I just couldn't that night.
Yes.
So it's been a little bit, haphazard, but I am very happy to have the opportunity here. Like you said, two powerhouse teams, two teams near the top of the standings at this moment, and it is a fight for seeding because this is our last week before playoffs here. We're already partway through our draft. You can see the Corky grab alongside a Skarner pickup here. So gonna be going for just I think the standard jungle play that we have seen over the last couple of patches. The Sivir is a little interesting to me though.
Yeah, Sivir has been rising in popularity slowly in solo queue. I think movement speed and the kind of champions that you draft with Sivir have been really, really OP. Skarner, obviously a big benefactor of that, or beneficiary. But I think the cool thing to note, and that we haven't really seen a lot of, or like we haven't really got to see a lot of competitive time of, is the resurgence of Corky. And now a lot of people are thinking, oh, it's going to be Corky mid. I have been seeing a resurgence of Corky bot specifically.
Oh. I
And
believe we've
that's
lost.
Turbo Ball.
Okay, we have lost Shibby. Hi guys. So, like Shibby said, we've been seeing some Corky coming up here. We have the Jackson, the Lilia here as well, so that's going to be giving us a lot of team fight potential here, a lot of just ability to get in, get out, which should help out for Team Yippie in terms of just getting their poke and then going all in. Meanwhile, looking at the other side there, RDG are going for that aggression. They're going for that team fight. They want to be able to run forward and just force fights with the Skarner, with the Cassante. A lot of beef there. I do think they need to start looking at getting something that has a little bit more damage. You can see the Seraphine being banned away, I think would help out that bot lane just to get a little bit more DPS out, because they are definitely not looking the highest right now. Sivir struggles a lot with that. The Orianna is fine when it's ahead, but it can be a bit of a struggle there. Welcome back, Shibby, from the void.
Hocus pocus, I'm back in a Blue Water Master. As we...
I was like, you can't both dip out on me, right? Like, it's got to be one or the other.
As we get, like you're talking about the draft, and some great points you brought up. I think this is going to be that Corky mid, though. I was kind of hoping seeing it in the bot lane. Ashe, a very dominant pick right now. We saw what T1 did to Gen G with that champion, and I think right now it's just too good. The ability to fish for picks and to constantly just kind of get these, like, sort of non-committal engages. Like, oh, I'm going to throw the Ashe arrow out. If it hits, that guy's dead. If it's not, well, we have a lot more tools to kind of figure out how we want to play that fight here, especially with an Alistar being layered on top of that. Into Sivir, though, an interesting kind of pick, but it's actually fine because if Alistar Qs the W, you actually have to Q the spell shield for the Q, correct?
Yeah, when you spell shield a Sivir, it will always block the headbutt. It's pretty much impossible to be able to block the pulverize with Sivir spell shield, which is why you usually do see something like the Alistar picked up against that Sivir. So it just does give that solid engage.
Yeah, it's really just kind of consistent. Not much Sivir can do there, especially with her short range and the Leona coming in over the top. A lot of good champions here that love move speed specifically for this. I'm not gonna say Sivir comp, but this Sivir assisted composition here. Skarner, Cassante, Leona love just running at you, and three beefy big frontline kind of champions here, paired with the Sivir, paired with the Ori. It's a pretty solid front-to-back composition. Like, Sivir is eventually going to get to the 3-4 item point where she shreds through your team. Orianna's shockwaves are going to be hitting very, very hard. Although, slamming it into double 80 carry and as well as a Jax could be kind of rough, because if one of your DPS threats goes down, you've got nothing left in the tank.
Yeah, and I look, the people that know me know that I am extremely critical of as I'm gonna have issues, I guess, apparently. The people I always see Sivir picked, and that Sivir does not do damage is like my big thing. And like you said, it's like the 3 minute point, three item point, it can start to like hit, but like you're looking at a Corky, you're looking at a Lilia who's got a 1 item power spike. Jax is always relevant with the counter strike. I'm a little scared for Rubber Ducky here.
Yeah, RDG definitely have a tough, I would say, kind of battle in front of them, especially into Yippie's composition that can kind of poke and prod you from multiple different angles. And the fact that there is like a Jax and a Lilia just ready to go, like you can hit a massive 5-man sleep. Jax, if he can get a good flank off, you can see what this champion does, especially because RDG is so short range, right? Other than the Orianna, everybody else is melee range or, you know, virtually within melee range, kind of Sivir at that like 500, 550, I believe, range around there. So it is kind of rough to play into. Granted, the immobility of the Ashe, and I will say Corky to some extent because he has such a long cooldown on that W, you know, you can kind of take advantage of like, all right, I'm going to flash Skarner roll, or I'm going to throw out a Leona ultimate. We've been seeing a lot of Leonas kind of throw out their ultimate, fish for an engage. If it doesn't happen, you've still got Cassante, you've still got Skarner. Leona ultimate on a relatively low cooldown here. I expect these guys to skirmish pretty frequently for both of these teams, but like you mentioned, Yippie really wants to hit some of their 1 item power specs. I think Ashe on 1 item, Lilia on 1 item, like you mentioned. Even Corky, when he completes that Triforce, likes to skirmish a little bit, although Corky needs to get that more mana, needs to get a little bit more juice going. But there's a lot of early game power in Yippie's composition.
Yeah, you said the Leona. It's kind of like the Ashe ult of supports, where you can just throw it out. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, it's back in 50 seconds or so.
Yeah.
But I do believe we are going to be getting into this game very shortly. We are going to set it to a quick break, guys, while we get ready for game number 1. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this.
Let's go, let's move, side to side, let's go. Let's go, let's move, side to side, let's go. Let's go, let's move, side to side, let's go. Let's go, let's move, side to side, let's go. Let's go! Let's go, let's move, side to side, let's go. Let's go, let's move, side to side, let's go. Let's go, let's move, side to side, let's go. Let's go, let's move, side to side, let's go. Come on, everybody, bring it in. Let's go, let's move, side to side, let's go. Let's go, let's move, side to side, let's go. Let's go, let's move, side to side, let's go. Let's go, let's move, side to side, let's go.
Welcome back, everybody. We are into the Rift here for the final week of BOL Masters prior to the playoffs here. If you're just tuning in, we've got Team Yippie versus Rubber Ducky Gaming, two teams at the top of the standings, fighting for that oh-so-coveted seeding advantage here. I am your color caster, Shibby, joined by Thousand Eyes as my play-by-play, and we just broke down some of these compositions. And RDG, they've got a pretty easy to execute composition, Thousand Eyes, but
Yep.
it kind of smells like a little bit of bait you were talking about.
Yeah, I was saying during the break, I do not like Sivir. I never see Sivir do enough damage, and to me, Orianna is like a champion that really pops off if ahead, but if even or behind, that damage does feel lacking and needs propped up by heavy damage from another champion on that composition. And I don't think Sivir's it. So I do worry a lot here. I think if there's the possibility, obviously, of Cassante going crazy in that top lane. We've seen the damage output that Skarner can have in the right situations. I'm happy to be proven wrong here, but I am definitely a little concerned at how these team fights might look around the 10 to 20 minute mark.
Yeah, especially with champions like Corki in the game here. If you got to go against that around the mid game when he's spiked around that more mana plus Triforce, it feels really hard to get any damage down as Sneaky Tart and M2O already trying to get a little bit of cheese here. I don't know if they actually ended up winning that trade. They started auto-attacking Leona, and I'm like, well, you should just use your range advantage on the Sivir here. But Ashe and Alistar are going to have lane prio 4 a little bit until Sivir hits around level 3, where she can kind of just start like boomerang blading and ricocheting the wave. There's a small opportunity for this Ashe and Alistar to get these guys shoved in to get some priority down in this bottom lane. As we have seen Dark Lord start on the top side, pathing towards the bot. David as well, starting towards that top side and pathing as well. So they are mirroring each other right now, and they'll probably end up meeting down there on that bot crab. So bot lane priority will be very, very important.
Exactly, yeah. And like you said, with Alistar and Ashe getting that push there becomes really important. David, moving in, there's been a lot of trading in this mid lane here. Both mid laners have been taking some damage, and fight's going to be a little bit in trouble here. The early poke of Orianna and just the pressure, that ball just standing there, scary. It makes it difficult for Corki to walk forward, but it is just going to be the junglers continuing on their way. And especially now with that little bit of detour, you see Lilia fairly far ahead right now.
Yeah, we'll be able to get to that crab spawn first. Yeah, Orianna into these like ranged AD matchups, so good because she has the shielding. The ball as well extends her range. You don't need to auto necessarily trade with them. You can just use that ball to zone them off the wave here. So Fitz having a bit of early game troubles here. Top side is going to be kind of a snooze fest. Jax into Cassante. I always feel like Cassante has the ability to outplay Jax simply because the Unbreakable can kind of stop the stun. Right, you can just go into that, turtle into that form.
The Cassante thing, yeah.
Yeah, like right now, he should just, well, okay, he didn't.
All right. Well, he still wins anyway.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what? My bad, guys. Cassante just gets to do that. It's so Cassante is just so frustrating to play against. You can see. I mean, granted, the wave clear has been really solid here for Best Name, as they've been able to push in that wave and just at least get some pressure here, knowing these junglers should be more on that bot side coming to top now. But now a little bit of worry, especially as you can see now, jungler is going to get a little into it. David will be backing away, has the E in a worst case scenario, picks up the boulder. David, I don't think you want to be here, buddy. Does flash forward, which was a little bit ill-advised of a flash. Meanwhile, bot lane getting a little bit antsy as well. No mana on this Sivir, and there will be a sneaky turret just getting a little bit of damage down before heading back to the wave.
Yeah, that's kind of just how the matchup goes when you play like a tank into Lilia. She just kind of runs you down. You don't have the dueling power. Luckily, he was able to get that bottom lane crab. We didn't actually see how he ended up getting it. I believe he just kind of stole it away. He was waiting in the bush here, but M2O and Sneaky Turret getting a lot of trading aggressive power. Whoa.
Yeah, a little bit aggressive there. Tanks a tower shot, but now Drakian needs to get back under tower. Ignite burned, and it is still a winning bot lane here for Team Yippie.
Yeah, I don't think Duck and Drakian fading that W as well are having too much of a fun time here. They just haven't been able to really expend all that mana to clear the wave and make it even. And Corki is going to be here down for a dive. This should be pretty well played as long as M2O tanks everything.
Oh, the flack forward for the stun. Alistar is actually in trouble, but it will be Leona falling first. Drakian trades their life for the other support, but it is first blood going in favor of Team Yippie.
Yeah, I like that heads-up play from Drakian there to get the stun going. Did get hit by the pulverized, but it didn't matter because Alistar was stunned under their turret for a little too long, even with Aftershock. Unable to tank more than 2 tower shots here. I would say they got a little trigger happy on the dive. If they wait 2 more seconds, Fitz is there. I'm sure he cleans up the kill as Corky.
I agree with you. The Corky coming in there is just a bunch of extra damage you can hopefully get through there. We see both supports moving up to that top side, but only to see that David has already started the grubs. So M2O is going to head back to the bot lane and make sure Sneaky Turret is taken care of.
I'm completely okay with them as David and Toast are going to look for a dive here.
Toast has the ult here, but David needs to start tanking first. Will go in, slams into the wall as Jack's being shoved way away from the tower, flashes back over. Best name survives, but man, they put a lot into that one.
I like that, right? Investing the ultimates, getting the flash out of best name here. Toast still has the flash. There is an opportunity, a window for Toast here to potentially look for a kill here as Jax now has to play safe without that flash advantage or matching flashes. Has to kind of navigate the lane a little bit more safely. Can't just jump in willy-nilly as the dragon does get traded for those grubs here. Before all that madness happened.
Shockwave hits, and there's the follow-up. Leona setting up for Avi to grab that kill. Another kill going over to Rubby Ducky, and now they are going to be able to shove this wave in. That is a major win there, because that is the first kill that is not going on a support in this game.
Yeah, it's going on to Orianna, who, like you said, needs to kind of be ahead of the curve, especially because she's like one of 2 DPS threats, as Dark Lord is just going to be able to take this whole bottom side for himself. He took Gromp and he took the Wolves here, but I don't know if they have enough damage to take out Drakian. He's a little tanky.
Yeah, a little bit difficult. There is the shield as well from the Orianna, but they actually down hits, and that's all Dark Lord needed. Bird going down. Oh no! Does Drakian walk away? How?
He walks away, and Thousand, I have to point out something. You wish Dark Lord had flash there, right? I wonder where Dark Lord had used that ill-advised flash. If he has flash there, that's a kill onto Drakian. A beautiful arrow from Sneaky Turret, unfortunately, does not get rewarded. And with Sivir having a full mana bar here, Duck with the Caulfield Hammer should just be able to kind of keep himself safe in this lane. Has the barrier available as well as the spell shield. Well played from Rubber Ducky Gaming. I mean, Leona's just too tanky. Tank supports with Aftershock are kind of OP. But the grubs being for Dragon trade. Yippie, I think trading Dragon, especially if you are on this composition that has like kind of multiple DPS threats. I like the Dragons. I like it, you know, kind of maybe forcing a potential Infernal Dragon win con or even X deck because it's like Ocean plus Cloud right now. You can roll 2 out of like, you know, 4 very good dragons for yourself and force the issue and fight amongst these objectives. Rubber Ducky's going to eventually have to come into you guys. And when they do, they're going to be faced with a tough decision.
I was going to say, as we have a engage there is the Impale. Fitz going to go down. Another kill going to Ave. And that is Orianna now well above the board here in terms of money there. And kind of like you said, the dragon issue can really become a problem too, because when you look at the spikes that we talked about, that should be coming up a little bit earlier than what you see from Rubber Ducky. If you have those multiple dragons, you now have to take fights that might not be on your timers, and that's a little bit of a scary thing. But with the Orianna getting ahead, maybe that doesn't matter.
Yeah, 2-0 Orianna here working towards, you know, I've seen a lot of different Orianna builds. Either it's Ludens into the Storm Surge. I've seen like Ludens into full, you know, magic penetration to get that like huge damage off, that true damage. I would argue this is a good game to go those more greedier Orianna builds, especially because there's such squishy members on the side of Team Yippie here. So Ave could just like single-handedly carry some of these fights depending on how he builds and kind of what items he gets. But like you mentioned, item power spike's a big thing in determining whether teams can kind of contest objectives like the grubs, like the dragons here. Yippie have a solid win condition. Like you said, their mid game is very, very good. But Fitz right now stifled a little bit on this Corky. 0-2, hasn't been able to farm super comfortably, hasn't gotten towards that Triforce. Tier is stacking, but it's going to be a little bit delayed, his power spike. He might hit that 2-item Muramana Triforce a bit later than what we expected.
Yeah, it's going to be coming a bit later, and that is a problem here. We do see the lanes swap up here as both bot lanes heading up towards the top side, trying to get ready for this next spawn of grubs that is coming up here. And that's a little scary because, like you said, the Orianna feels much more online. That Shockwave is very, very scary right now. Sneaky Turret left alone, but not as left alone as Dark Lord, who has to flash away, leaves him to 0-4 himself, flashes over the wall with that Unbreakable Will. Big sleep through the Leona follows up, gets headbutt into the Ashe. Sneaky Turret may be able to grab a kill here, but Fitz is trying to follow up. The rest of the team is chasing him down. How is Draggy staying alive here? Another Ashe arrow hits onto a Vey. They need to get that kill fast. The Shockwave doesn't even go off, and it doesn't do a thing. David left alone, and Team Yippie are trying to run this Skarner down, slowed a little bit from the E, is going to just be walked down as a big win comes through for Team Yippie.
What looked like a good fight for Rubber Ducky Gaming. They could have gotten the kill. Instead, they take a fight on two fronts, right? It was fractured. You saw Drakian kind of pushing into the three-man squad of Team Yippie here, but also both Skarner and Orianna were fighting the Corki. There's a lot of investment on two different fronts. They couldn't find their target focus. They couldn't get actually one person down here, and Team Yippie is allowed to recuperate. They're allowed to kind of reassess how they want to take the fight, and a big Ashe arrow kind of seals the deal onto Vey, your strongest member on RDG, unable to get the ultimate off, almost sombreroed himself there. As the dragon is up, the Cloud Dragon. We've taken the grubs. I think they're going to just kind of let Rubber Ducker Gaming have it, but it's a consolation prize, if anything. Really well played from Team Yippie to kind of, keep their targets in focus and just kind of like rifle down Rubber Ducky Gaming one by one.
I mean, the big thing there is kind of like you said, the Shockwave didn't even come out. How much did we say? Like, Vey got fed 2 kills, was above what we expected of the Orianna at that point. Should have been really strong, but so much of that damage is in the Shockwave. And if Vey can't even get that off in a fight, so much of your value is being wasted. Sneaky Turret not doing the same, getting major Ashe ults off already in this game, and is now going to be sitting down bot lane there against Toasted Toast, trying to keep this tower alive.
Yeah, he's gone for the wave clear build as well here with that static shiv. Will just allow him to kind of have, consistent priority on mid, on bottom lane, wherever the wave gets shoved in, and we'll be eventually working towards that 3-item power spike as Drakian and David. I was gonna praise David for how well he's played so far up until that last fight. I think David's done a real good job of kind of mirroring Dark Lord, making sure he can't get any ganks off, and just kind of punishing when needed. Really good impales from him on this Skarner. So Fitz and Sneaky Turret do have to be kind of aware here as the Herald does get started. We've got 2 members bot. I don't know if they can dive the Cassante though.
Oh, Sneaky Turret started tanking that first and not wanting to pop the Unbreakable Will. Yeah, Cassante just continue. We've seen in Worlds why Cassante is so relevant there. Flash forward, Ashe arrow not gonna work out. Nice ult from Toasted Toast to cancel out the Pulverize. Toasted Toast survives, but now that tower at risk. Meanwhile, top side, we do see Best Name trying to fend off an aggression himself here. Jax may be a little bit easier to dive, especially when you look at how far... No, the tower tank was on to the Sivir. That's not where you needed to be. Best Name coming out huge here. There is the Orianna to come up and grab another kill, but it's 1-for-1, and the tower got picked up first in the bot lane.
Yeah, really good job from Best Name there. A dive for a dive. Toasted Toast does live with his life, but he essentially gets sent back to the fountain there, which allows Team Yippie to pick up that first turret. But on top of that, getting a 1-for-1 and a 1v3 is a very, very good thing, especially for the Jax here. Really, really well played from Team Yippie so far. Some really good individual play from a lot of these guys. Sneaky Turret as well, flash arrowing the Cassante so he's not in kill range, making sure that he stays alive and is able to siege that turret on the bottom side here. And then, we didn't really get to mention it, but it is an Infernal Soul win condition for both of these teams now, right? A dragon apiece. We will see potentially a, 27-minute, 28-minute Infernal Soul for these guys. That's Fitz, 1v4.
Yeah. Trying to do something, but I don't think there's a lot you can do there. Fitz just not prepared, almost puts Duck in a bad spot, but does survive, and now they have the Rift Herald as well. This is a scary spot to be in. We said first tower going over to Rubber Ducky, but they have first tower going over to Team Yippie, but Rubber Ducky has just come way back here. They take 2 for themselves, and now Rift Herald. There's no way we're hitting this mid. Okay, yeah, I know. We're just crashing that there.
He might have been able to get it. I think there was enough distance. You can if you snake it around, but I think it would have put him in such a bad position. As we've been seeing a lot of Rift Heralds not getting road because of that. A lot of teams have been able to punish exactly where you land, and
Flash ult from Jackie, who's now gonna go in, hits the lance onto the Ash. Sneaky turn in trouble as Duck just gonna run him down. There goes Imtuo as well, gets pulled away. Big sleep followed up, but there's nobody around. Q hits Cassante, gets the shield, I think may survive, burns down at the end of it all, and Dark Lord able to get 1 in response, but does not have the sleep anymore, has to W away. Drakian now going a little bit too deep as the rest of the team is showing up. Fitz pops in for the kill on to Drakian.
Overall 2 for 2 because of an overstay from Rubber Ducky Gaming there. Really good movement from Best Name. Oh, Shockwave!
Big Shockwave onto Fitz, who's trying to trade the damage. Back flash forward with the auto. Will be getting another kill of a 5-1 now on this Oriana.
Luden's companion built. I believe he's working towards that Leandries as well. Is going to be hitting like a truck very, very soon. This is 10 seconds before Dragon as well. Fitz is going to be down. It's going to be a 4v5 if Yippie decide to try to contest this. TP is up, so they're going to get that mid prio, but they are going to try to contest this Dragon. They're going to stall as much as they can so they can get Fitz onto this fight. That mid lane fight, a lot of key summoners blown. Fitz, no flash. Sneaky Turt, no flash. As well as Dark Lord there. A lot of flashless members on Team Yippie's side. When you look on RDG, they've got a lot more summoners to play with. Their economy is better right now.
BDG now looking to go in as now there's the ult coming through. Ash ult to stun, and now Sneaky Turt able to walk forward here uncontested. Big up from Duo and the rest of the team cleaning up from that. Fitz running Duck down, gets back under the tower, but it is a major fight win and a second dragon for Team Yippie.
What a fight from Team Yippie. They're able to stall out. The dragon started by RDG here, and realistically, kind of a fight on split fronts. As did we get the bug?
Oh,
there's no way.
No.
For the uninformed, this has been happening since the latest patch. Yeah, the latest patch has come out here. This is just, unfortunately, we can't fix it. There's actually nothing we can do. Sometimes what happens is the game will just pause. It won't go. The spectator camera can move freely, but it will just kind of pause. There's not much we can do. We've already faced this. If you have been watching the Blue Water stream of the Side OGG Combine, it's happened there. I believe it's happened on a lot of the other leagues that are around right now, Titan and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, there's no fix. There's not a lot we can do. So we will be able to get the end of game spec, but I think we're gonna have to go to an extended break there, Thousand Eyes. But it does look like Team Yippie was in the driver's position.
Definitely seemed to be, and we'll have to see there. Obviously, at least we got to see that fight, because that fight was a banger for sure, and we'll see if Team Yippie can figure out how to close out that game. But we will head it to a quick break here, maybe a longer break, I won't say quick break, and see exactly where that game shook out exactly.
君のことば繰り返し寝ても覚めてもやまないそっけない君の笑顔が恋しくて星に願うのまた会えるよね
Hello and welcome back, everybody, to Week 7 of the BOL Masters Tournament. Sorry for Game 1. Unfortunately, like we said, we ran into that bug, but we are back. Team Yippie actually ended up taking it 1-0 here. And if you saw how that last fight went before we went offline, you can kind of see how the game went here. But we are back into Game 2. Sides have swapped. And for anybody that doesn't know, we are in full Fearless here. So those grayed out champions cannot be picked by either team here. So a lot of big champions off the board here. Orianna, Skarner, Cassante, Ash, Corky, Jack. So these guys are going to have to play a lot different kind of champions here, especially with the bans coming in from Team Yippie's and RDG's side. A lot of junglers being taken away, top laners as well as solo laners here. The Yone, the Nocturne, that kind of stuff. Interesting enough that they would take the Nocturne away, considering like one of its best pairings, quote unquote, the Orianna, has been removed. But Nocturne Nico still very good, as we do see RDG take that Syndra as their B1 pick specifically.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? When we have seen Orianna, like Syndra has always kind of been close behind. They're the standard mid laners that kind of scale up to a really strong mid game, good for team fights, while also like, you know, Syndra's power being a little bit more on the pick oriented side. She can set up a lot of really strong junglers. Meanwhile, on the other hand, you do see Team Yippie going for that long range. They're going for that poke, that siege, that really annoying long range backline that they are gonna have to build a little bit of a front line to work around.
Yeah. If you recall, last game, RDG had a pretty solid front line with the dual DPS threat of the Sivir and the Orianna. Unfortunately, it didn't work out here, as Yippie had the more kind of multi-pronged approach, right? They had the Corky, the Ash, they also had the Jax and the Lilia. So a lot of damage DPS dealers here were their last game here. But RDG kind of maybe taking a page out of Yippie's book. A Renekton slammed on top of the Jinx. Still a lot of late game insurance. Both Syndra and Jinx kind of can give you those like 30 to 35 minute huge team fight wins here. But getting in range is the question here that you brought up. Hui and Ezreal like to play from a screen away, right? Like it's very hard to lock these people down, but to even get within striking distance. And with the Gragas on top, good luck. Good luck. The ultimate peel champion, the original, in my opinion, Stonewall top laner. I know that mantle has gone over to Udyr now, but Gragas, another one of those top laners that's uninteractive, unfun, you can't really do a lot, and you're never really going to be able to move out of the lane.
I'm getting the feeling you're a little biased against this champion. There's a little bit of malice that is seeping through in your voice there. But like you said, into that Renekton, you can just belly bop and move away. You're always able to disengage. And for those team fights, it was already hard to reach Hui and Ezreal. Now you have the Gragas ult on top of that. That's going to be even more difficult to deal with. We can see the Seraphine and Lulu being banned away. We saw the Seraphine banned last time as well, so RDG do not want to give that away. They don't want to give that protection over to the Jinx here. But now we're seeing the Karma ban, and I would assume another support ban would be coming through here for RDG. Where do you want to see this RDG composition go here? Because it's in a couple of different places at the moment.
Yeah, it's kind of in a tough spot, because you can either hyper index into like, okay, we're gonna dive, we're gonna like throw ourselves into Team Yippie here, but
it's Hui support.
No.
Okay,
Whoa!
no, they're baiting us.
They're baiting us. I do want to see, come back to your question, as we do see this R4 getting locked in here. Xin Zhao, another really good champion that peels, right? Ultimate is really, really good. You can't really do damage unless you're within the circle. And if you're playing kind of like Syndra and Jinx, you're not going to be able to really rock it from super far away. Yeah, RDG are in a tough position, because they can just lock the Nautilus and be like, all right, we're going to go full dive. We're going to try to jump onto whoever is caught out. Or they could go for something a little bit more sustain heavy, right? That's kind of like been the traditional counter to poke. Something like a Sona, something like a Soraka, although I don't know if RDG have that in their bag necessarily. The Viego coming out is nice, because it just kind of allows you to say, okay, we can pick one champion, kill them, and then just use our numbers advantage, right? We don't have to kill the Ezreal or the Hui. We can catch out maybe their support or their top laner here and look to snowball from there. So it's kind of pivoted a little bit to like more of like a pseudo reset composition here with the Jinx and the Viego, which is what I love seeing. But you need that setup. You need someone with a go button. There's the Nautilus that we talked about. I had a feeling it was going to kind of get locked in. I feel like RDG were a bit pigeonholed into that pick, but it's not necessarily a bad pigeonhole.
Yeah, I mean, Nautilus is always good. Almost, you can put Nautilus on a lot of different compositions and it works out. Like you said, the Jinx Viego reset potential, I've seen that time and time again. And when you pair that with a Syndra, Viego is a champion that his ganks are a little middling. He doesn't have the greatest setup. He needs people to set up for him, which is what that Syndra is going to be for. But we see that Renata, which is just more disengaged. We said, Hwei, Ezreal, tough to reach. We now pick 3 champions that all have ways to dissuade reaching those already difficult to hit champs.
Yeah, Team Yippie's composition, I will say, to execute these kind of comps takes a lot of coordination. It's a lot of knife's edge. It's very hard to, consistently win out on objectives, consistently win out on fights with these kind of compositions. Even the best teams in the world will mess up on these kind of comps, and all it takes is like 1 or 2 slip-ups, right? And RDG can just kind of run away with the game here. Team Yippie playing a very annoying composition, but one that requires a lot of coordination, a lot of understanding of who's where and who's on the flank, having vision down, set up appropriately so that you can get your poke down, and obviously, respecting the engage distance and the stun distance from the Syndra, from the Nautilus, that kind of stuff. So it's really is like kind of like the big bad wolf, right? The big bad wolf only needs to catch a Red Riding Hood 1 time out of the 90,000 times that she delivers the cookies here. RDG, in that simple scenario, they are the big bad wolf here.
Exactly, yeah. Like the onus is on them to get these fights. They need to be able to set up. They need to hit the Syndra stun. They need to get the Nautilus hook. They need to get the flank from either this Renekton or Viego and do something with that. If they can make that happen and use that kind of death ball reset that they have, they'll go crazy with it. But man, it's a lot of resources you have to burn for Team Yippie to put them in a vulnerable position.
Yeah, I mean, Gragas ultimate, like you mentioned, the Renata ultimate. The only thing that Yippie has to make sure they don't do is kind of invest all of it into one engage from RDG, right? Because there are multiple ways. Stuns, you've got flanks, you've got the mist that Viego can play around. Like, you just have to make sure that you're like, okay, I'm going to burn Renata ultimate here. Let's engage. Let's reassess the fight. We have Gragas ultimate. Now let's fight this dragon. Now let's see what we can do. Oh, we have Xin Zhao ultimate. So it's very interesting in this composition specifically for Team Yippie, where the Xin Zhao here isn't seen as much more of like an engager. He's much more seen as kind of like a Peel-esque champion that just kind of isolates somebody out and says, this is the person we kill here. Everybody else can't damage us. Let's just rifle all of our abilities from Team Yippie's side, which a good chunk of them are skill shots. So it's going to take some mechanical prowess from Team Yippie to get the most out of their composition, right? It's one of those compositions that if you can't hit some of your spell shots or skill shots, you can't hit some of your spells, you won't nearly get the value that you expect from an Ezreal, from a Hwei. While on the RDG side, you just kind of have to weather the storm and find the right engage, find the right pick here. A lot easier to execute composition from RDG's side, but Team Yippie, if played right, RDG can like never have fun this game.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a burden of execution for Team Yippie, and we are going to see if they have the ability to handle that burden, but it is going to come after this break as we get ready for game number 2, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, to Week 7, Game 2 of this final, week before playoffs match between RDG and Team Yippie here. Rubber Ducky Gaming on the blue side, Team Yippie on the red side here. As we do see a bit of an invade, I am your color caster, Shibby, here with 1000 as best name.
Yeah. Oh my God, best name is just styling on them. That's all skill. That is not champion specific. Best name is just better.
Yeah.
That will also lead to a ward getting placed on the blue buff in favor of Team Yippie. So Flash burned as well too. That's a lot actually from RDG.
And no Hex Flash on Dracian as well, right? Like I don't know what second tree he ended up going down on the Nautilus, but not having the flash for the Hex Flash as well to back it up, you're kind of not a champion. You are, but you aren't, right? Like you can't really go for those really sick, Hex Flash engages. It also gives lane priority over to Sneaky Truck and into. As you see them, they've snuck into that third bush. We talked about burden of execution for Team Yippie. Right now, they've passed. They're 2 out of 100 on the multiple choice.
Yeah, a lot more questions to go here. And unfortunately, it's a multiple choice. It's not just four answers possible there. They put like 60 for each question. So
yeah,
they're going to have a little bit of an uphill battle here. But I think so far, like you said, things working out for them. And I kind of am looking just at this bot lane here. Obviously, the Ezreal is very safe from this Nautilus. But Renata does have to be a little bit more careful. And you can see they are just willing to give that up because of Draken's pressure. Ooh, hook does hit, but it is just a little bit of a trade.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sneaky Chart and Into could not get enough damage down to kind of dissuade them from the wave here. Allows Duck and Dracian to hit that level 2. Ezreal, better paired with those kind of support-based or poke-based support champions. We saw the Karma being banned out. We might have been able to see a Lux here, but that might have been a little too hard to execute, especially because Dracian is on that Nautilus here. That Renata classic counter to the Nautilus once she hits like level 2, level 3. The hook comes in, she can kind of fling him back. You've also got the shield as well. Ezreal has really good outplay potential with his Arcane Shift. It feels like Dracian has to work twice as hard for less money if you're on RDG side here.
Definitely. But again, execution, right? Like those are mistakes that can happen if you're not prepared for it. You can get yourself caught out, and Dracian is
here
getting a little bit of ping from the jungler here, I would imagine. You got to look for the engage. Hook doesn't even hit the wall, and Dracian try to move forward. I don't think you can make this work anymore. A little bit of a misplay there will lead to Dracian losing a solid bit of HP.
I'm surprised the hook didn't hit the wall, because even in then, Sneaky Turp probably has to flash or Arcane Shift over. That auto would have landed. But because he doesn't hit the wall and he doesn't pinch Sneaky Turp between himself and David, Ezreal can just walk out for free here. As best name takes quite a bit of damage. But because it's Gragas, he's just going to be able to heal it up, because his passive heals him every time he uses an ability. It is on a cooldown, but it's really tough to kind of kill this champion. As Toast to Toast on the Renekton, just trying to leverage as much of his early game power as he can to get that lead, right? That's what we see Renekton's do consistently in high level or pro level play. They'll hit that 1 to 2 item spike well before the enemy top laner. They'll hit like the Eclipse plus Sterax, and they'll just look to leverage that power advantage across the map here. We'll see if Best Name can kind of keep up with that, if he ends up going the more tankier route, like Fimbulwinter into more tank items, or if he's going to go Roa into Archangels and just be another AP damage threat.
Yeah, that's kind of the question here. I mean, Toast to Toast is going to have that straight up fight advantage, right? If it's just top laners bashing heads, Renekton wins that in most matchups, including this one. But Best Name, I think, recognizing the job here is not to win the lane. The job is to be relevant enough, get enough money, so that when these team fights happen, I'm there for the damage, for the CC, and the disengage.
Yeah, and just keeping Renekton out of this fight as Ave, once again, aggressively trading with Fitz here. You saw it happen last match when he was the Orianna into Fitz's Corki. Like, the Ori was just trading very, very well here. Ove on a much more punishing champion, the Syndra, you can't just kind of like hang around at this HP percentage, right? Because you will just be liable to get ulted and die here. So Ave's been doing a very good job individually, at least, similar to last game, to kind of keeping Fitz in check and not giving up mid-prio here. David as well, playing around that. I like how David's gotten active both on the Skarner last game and has been trying to look for angles here on the Viego. But right now, all Team Yippie has to do is kind of hit those 1 to 2 items on the way, on the Ezreal, and then just kind of start poking away at champions like David, like Ave, like the Jinx here. There's no sustain as Fitz. He's trying to bait Dracian, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I think Dracian realizes that, just gets away from the fight, does not want to get involved. This is a little bit of a lane swap here, and it's not top and bot, at least seemingly. Oh, wait, no, they might just be walking by. You know what? Picking up some money on the ground as they move up. They're going to be going over to the Grubs here. They're going to force the issue for a trade. It's interesting to see their bot lane move up here for this.
Yeah, typically we would see the bot lane move up, if you guys remember, like last year or seasons before, around the 14-minute mark for the Herald. Now we see some of them just kind of move up for these Grubs. They're really prioing these Grubs here. They might want to play for or push for 6 here. But with that is going to give Sneaky Turret and Imp Duo a little bit of alone time with that bottom lane. They also pick up the Dragon, and now Ave is going to be at a risk for dive.
Oh, yeah, more than a risk, I think a liability. He does get the help, and that is the stun that keeps Ave alive. The hook as well. Ave trying to stay as far away as possible. Finally, Sneaky Turret slides in for the kill, but there's 2 big beefy champions that Sneaky Turret needs to find a way out of. Flashes over the wall. Toasted Toast dashes back over. I don't think an arcade shift is going to be enough to get away from this. They're cornered into the wall as Sneaky Turret arcade shifts away, but Toasted Toast can just walk him into the tower. The kill will go over to Dracian, but it is a major win for Rubber Ducky Gaming.
That is a big, big mistake here. We talked about the multiple choice. We talked about them trying to make sure that they're on point. And unfortunately, that dive goes a little south here. Ave living for so long. Ends up dying eventually, but Sneaky Turret has to give their life away. Right? Like, essentially has to get super aggressive with their positioning, hit the Mystic Shot. But by that time, both your support and jungler are down. Kill gold as well. 2 of those big kills going over to the Renekton. Insert best name, probably cursing his team out. He's like, I had this guy under control. He was fine with me. The moment he goes bot lane, he picks up 2 kills. Caulfield Hammer plus Pickaxe. Now there's no Stonewall potential, really, for this Gragas. Yeah, he's picked up the Catalyst of Aeons. He's got the tier here, but there's always a threat for Toasted Toast now to get an insane amount of kill pressure, if not set up dives, as now RDG are back.
Yeah, and there's not an easy way out of this one. A good Q. Ult from the Renata as well. Sneaky Turret gets away, and there is exactly that execution we talked about. If that's any other bot lane, it is almost assuredly a death.
That's any other support, right? It has to be Renata there. Because of that ultimate lands, it dissuades both David and Dracian there. But yeah, I mean, this is literally kind of why it's so annoying to try to play against this team, as they committed 3 members. And for all intents and purposes, RDG played that about as well as they could, right? They got the flank from the Nautilus. David's coming in for the resets. They land all their CC. It's just Imtuo and Sneaky Turret play their cooldowns very, very well here. As Ave does have to back out. Toasted Toast does burn the ultimate. 2-0-1 though on this Renekton. I would love to see what had happened up there. Maybe he got super aggressive. Full rage bar available right now.
Was considering, could not get him range for the stun, but Toasted Toast going to just take the small win here. Obviously a little down in CS because of that teleport down bot lane, but came out really solid out of that, as we do see the cover for Sneaky Turret to be able to push into this tower. Now things slowing down just a hair here. What do you want to see here from RDG? Because like they've gotten a bit of a lead for themselves, but that money is into one place.
Yeah, great question, because Toasted Toast has hit his first legendary. Eclipse already bought at the 10-minute mark. Now you've got to move this guy around, right? Like, you got to figure out a way to kind of get him on some of these skirmishes or play towards him even, right? Because if he's just kind of going to be left to his own devices with that lead, eventually that lead's going to kind of shrink into nothing, right? It's Renekton. It's one of those champions that, with a lead, can kind of use that power to help his other teammates. But in this top lane, if he's just trading with this Gragas, yeah, he's gonna get him low. He's gonna get him half HP. Gragas isn't in kill threat. You can't even threaten a dive here. So they've got to move Toasted Toast down. They've got to get him like to these grubs here, which is what they're doing. They're playing towards their strongest member. On top of that, though, they've got to just kind of get him, move him out of this top lane as soon as possible, right? Rift Herald comes up, pop that top lane. Gragas is low enough, start diving, right? Cool. Figure out what you can do, because all that gold on the top side, you're not going to feel it in mid and bot lane.
Definitely not, and did see a little bit of an engage there as Trishian gets away. Big investment there on the Renata ult. Will not have that for a while. It's a pretty long cooldown, level 1. So we'll see if that comes into play here, especially as this dragon is spawning up.
Dragon has spawned. Remember, Grubs got traded for dragons last time. His best name, body slamming in with no fear, just understands that there's no pressure, right? It doesn't matter how low he gets. As now, we do see Toasted Toast walking down right now. Has shoved that top side.
Oh, grabs the hook, and Dracian gonna help Ave get a first kill on the board here. Big kill as well as it's on the jungler. Toasted Toast doesn't even have to walk down. I was about to say, there's no TP. This Renekton has to walk down. Best name can TP into the fight. The fight never happened. There was a dead jungler before we could even look over, and the dragon gonna go over to RDG.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that we saw Dark Lord just face check that. All right, didn't even have his support with him. Did not have anybody to kind of help him out there, and three members missing on the map. You've kind of got to be a little bit more aware. That might have been a bit of an autopilot coming out from Dark Lord. And so far, this poke composition, this long-range comp, this disengage comp, whatever you want to call it, is down about 2,000 gold here. Poke champions don't tend to do so well if they're down in gold.
Definitely. Yeah, you get into a fight as a behind poke champion, and it's like, well, I just don't ever do anything in this game. little unfortunate.
Yeah, we flashed to the gold here. Ave 800 ahead of their counterpart as well. As you look at Toasted Toast, pretty solid 700-800 lead as well. Both solo laners just kind of dominating their counterparts right now. As we do see on the bottom side, Duck and Sneaky Tart are relatively even. Only a couple hundred gold separates them. But realistically, this Ezreal needs to hit that 2-item power spike. Needs to hit the Muramana Triforce for his abilities to really start laying into RDG here. I like how they've been playing. I like how RDG have been kind of like using their bushes, using their advantage onto the map here, and getting first onto the objectives to set up these picks. As Dark Lord hasn't really been able to involve himself in the game. I know David's 0-0-0, but the stuff he's done on the map in terms of like garnering objectives and putting pressure, that's not going to show on the scoreboard. Well, as Dark Lord has kind of just showed up and died.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing too is we have a little bit of a fight here. Toasted Toast actually not winning this one. Has to pop the ult for the HP. Has to flash away as well from the barrel. Survives, but Toasted Toast, that doesn't look like a 2-0 Renekton there, and that doesn't look like a living Hui in the mid lane, as Fitz is gonna go down. Ave with another kill. 2 games in a row, we've seen Ave come out with a lead.
Whoa!
And the Renekton is gone too!
Yeah, well, that's an armor boot Eclipse Renekton. Not really built for war against an AP champion. Gragas picked up that Roa, but he's dying for this turret, surely, right? Like, he understands there are 3 members topside, but he's just trying to get it. First turret gold going over to Team Yippie here. Let's see. He's going to try to TP out.
Oh, no. Dracian flashes, doesn't get it. The root doesn't come out either. Insert best name. Inserting the best teleport I've seen for months.
Beautiful, beautiful. And the fact that he stopped right in the prototypical spot with all that investment in the top side, because we saw Nautilus go up there, because if they can't answer it, they also get the turret in the bot side. So that gold lead, the 2,000 that was there, has vanished in the blink of an eye. Team Yippie might just be magicians here, as the ultimate, the Herald does get invested in this top side. A little bit of gold coming back into
Oh.
RDG's favor. But best
Nope.
name, I love that play. I love, yeah, Harold was
Yeah,
beautiful.
no, that was
Yeah.
beautiful. That was
yeah.
very well done by Best Name. It was honestly been playing really well so far this series, at least as much as we have seen it. And I have been pretty impressed so far. Like you said too, we are getting that Roa coming through, so this is going to be a lot more damage to supplement that poke that these other champions are going for here. They're looking for all index on that poke and to buff that damage in the team fights at the cost of a little bit of a front line here. But speaking of, there is a lost David who needs to get back over to his own team's jungle here, and I think the rest of the team needs to follow quick as there's the Flash Renata ult that is going to root the Renekton in place. Trying to put damage down, uses the ult early. It doesn't do a whole lot, but here comes the Syndra of A just walking into the team, but that's not an HP bar that can last very long. Fitz grabs the kill. The rest of the team is here though. The resets have begun and Duck is going crazy. Pops the final kill, and that's RDG with a major win 16.5 minutes into this game.
Constellation Prize, insert best name, did end up getting that top tier for himself. Is at 2 items on this Gragas at 17 minutes in, almost with a fully stacked Archangels. But I can't help but feel that I mentioned this during the break, 1000, that there's gonna get to a point where Team Yippie gets a little overconfident on their poke composition. They get a little too aggressive, and David and RDG end up just punishing that and resetting across the fight. Like clockwork, it happens here, as M2O is by himself, is completely fine though on the Renata, as they are going to try to vie for positioning on this Chemtech Dragon and a Chemtech Soul on the menu for either of these guys. That's quite literally what happened. Team Yippie on this poke comp, like, we can keep chasing, and Ave finally punishes them, and that one kill allows David and the rest of the gang to go absolutely crazy here.
I mean, it's really interesting how we said, like, yeah, level of execution onto Team Yippie, but it's not just that. It's that if you make a single mistake, the resets just completely change the fight.
Same.
Speaking of changing the fight, the ult coming out immediately here from the Nautilus, getting the damage down, and Gragas will fall. Xin Zhao as well as RDG look unstoppable. Renata ult doesn't even do a thing. A double kill going over to Duck, and RDG found their lead, and they are running away with it.
Some really odd positioning mistakes from Team Yippie 2 fights in a row. I mean, we talked about how important it is for this composition, where they position, who they can keep track of, make sure that they understand where every single champion on RDG is, so they don't get, kind of stunned from a bush, right? Or hooked from a bush here. But insert best aim looked desynced from his team. He was there on the Dragon well before his team was even kind of near it, right? His team was all playing on that backside bush near their blue buff. Insert best name, TP to that tri-bush on the bottom side, and just wasn't really able to wait with his team. I just feel like Team Yippie haven't actually gotten a fair shake, a fair 5v5 yet, and that's due in part both to their bad positioning, but also because RDG are finding these fights, right? They're finding these stuns, they're finding these hooks, and they're just forcing the issue. And when you're on Team Yippie side, when you have to choose between doing damage and repositioning, most of these guys are going to reposition.
It's also just picks are insanely important for RDG. They get a kill, Viego, Jinx, go crazy. The fight is not playable past that point for Team Yippie.
Yeah.
It is difficult for them to do anything, and they just have to be able to straight up disengage. RDG have been able to turn one pick into many because of that reset potential, because of Team Yippie not getting their disengage right. We saw the Renata ult didn't really hit anybody in that previous fight. It's not looking good. That level of execution has started to falter a little bit.
Yep. Like we said, this composition from Team Yippie has to hit 100 out of 100 times, right? There's not too many more mistakes they can make before RDG can just start pulling Baron, forcing their hand. And you talked about the lack of a frontline for Team Yippie's side, right? Gragas went double AP items, right? Double
Yep.
double magic items. Lethality on the side of Zinzao, right? As he picks up the Eclipse. He's gonna go towards that Sundered Sky. There's not too much tankiness on this guy's team here, so it's even harder to survive the onslaught that is RDG. Is Zinzao best name? I think he's gonna die for this.
Yeah, I don't think you kill here. Doesn't get hit by the stun, but here comes the Goon Squad, and insert best name quickly realizing this is not where I want to be. Avey is going to grab that kill, and it's another pick in favor of RDG.
Yeah, 3 members missing onto the map here. You gotta kind of be a little weary, right? Especially if they don't show on your side of the map. They're not showing in your lanes, as Duck is just dipping and dodging right now.
Oh my god, Duck has not been hit by a skill shot yet. We'll back away because the auto attacks are enough of a threat, but the TP from Toast not working out. Renata ult invested in that. Sneaky Turt able to back off here. Duck looked disgusting there for a hot second.
Yeah, he was putting the blue suede shoes on. I don't know if he got hit by a Q during that whole exchange.
Dancing. Like,
Yeah, big ultimate.
ooh,
Duck does
big
have to flash. Yeah. That's a key cooldown missing. Dragon coming up in a minute 45. Oh my god, away. Maybe like an amp tome away, and I'm pretty sure Sneaky Turt dies there. Like that's how much damage he does.
If Avey opened the Amazon Kindle there and just started reading some books a little bit more, that is a dead way right there. Avey, though, does force out the Hui from the mid lane, does force more people to come in, and we've seen how much that has impacted here. How many times have we seen investment on one side of the map or relocation to react to a loss of a member cause towers to fall somewhere else on the map?
Yeah, I will say Team Yippie have been doing a decent job, just like, kind of getting what they can across the map, right? Trading gold for kills, that kind of stuff here has kept them relatively in the game. As Sneaky Turt, unfortunately, Sintra has hit that splinter point where her E has extended range now. So it's even harder to play the keep away game for Team Yippie because Avey can kind of almost match Ezreal Hui to an extent, right? It's a very, very thin margin of error for these guys, and because he's been so good on landing these Syndra stuns, they don't have vision on this dragon. They don't have a way to really walk in here, as Fitz kind of has to walk away. And now they're just going to start taking resources. As Fitz, you got to flush that, man!
They're going to start taking ways as well, because that is just not where you could be. And again, another pick, another death. We look down the score line here for RDG. 4-1 on the Jinx, 3-2 on the Syndra. Dracians 1-0-11. RDG have been unstoppable this game.
Yeah, and I don't know how many more of those Team Yippie can take. As Insert Best Aim is trying to match their Yippie's trying to do something, right? Toast recognizes that as long as he stays alive, there is no play to be made here. M2O is kind of in the back lines here. They spot out the Nautilus, but can they actually catch him? I may have cursed him. I said he was deathless.
Oh yeah, and Gratian trying to get away, does use the ult there, maybe has a hook coming up, flashes, hooks away, the W doesn't hit. You tried to curse him, but he is uncursable. Gratian survives.
He's got a holy spell on him right now. Gratian just absolutely cooking. Does have to burn the flash here, won't have that Hex Flash available. But there's no real big objective, right? 4.5 minutes till this dragon comes up. Baron has not really been pressured by either team. So as long as things go relatively the same for the next 5 minutes, Dracian should have that key cooldown up. Is David? Oh, did he yoink that?
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. David
That's tough.
putting in some work here, and it's kind of interesting. We saw, nothing really from the Viego. A lot of activity, but not a lot of gain, and now seeing that damage start to come through. Baron started up already halfway
Look where
down.
Avey is.
This is a lot of damage that's being taken here, and I think RDG realized this. The teleport is burned from insert best name, and I think they're saying that's the best we're gonna get. Let's back away out of this now. Dracian walking forward here. You cannot face check that bush, and the Renata ult will be used as well.
So
But they
sneaky!
are left alone. This Jinx and Syndra can't get into the fight, and it is a 1-for-0 so far as Team Yippie look to disengage.
We just saw them walk into that bush, right? Like, all of RDG saw them walk into that bush. Dracian kind of overestimating his tankiness just a little bit. That one pick is going to start the Baron pull from the side of Team Yippie, but they have to be careful. They can't get hit by the stun. They can't get hit by the Syndra damage.
There is a lack of a Renata ult here for this fight. Now they're going to go in on Duck, who gets hit by the Gragas ult, and the Baron Pit helping out big time. The Jinx goes down. Ave going down to the spiraling despair as Sneaky Turret grabs that kill, and that is the Baron that will be started up again. Team Yippie, they have been struggling, but they are still finding ways back into this game.
I said Yippie lacked some sort of engage here, but a flash body slam is always on the menu for Gragas here as that lands onto Duck. And reminded, right, Duck didn't have flash. He had to burn that in the mid lane earlier, so they used that advantage. It just came up. Maybe 10 to 15 more seconds, and that play doesn't happen here. So very good flash. I'm going to give it to Yippie there. Very good summoner spell tracking coming out from these guys as they punish Duck, who's kind of just caught in between the Baron Pit, like walls, and just gets absolutely stunned there. Absolutely, his world gets rocked. They pick up the kills, and then the snowball kind of happens here. Syndra goes down, Baron goes in their favor. They're still down in gold, but the siege can start now, right? And you mentioned how disgusting, right? You mentioned how disgusting Hui and Ezreal are in this siege. Gragas as well. Now we're gonna see RDG have to deal with this.
Yeah, and the Renata to back it up as well. And that is going to be the first tower going down in this siege. It will be continuing here. There's a couple of members down below for RDG, but you can see the fear. They know they do not have a good way into this fight, especially with Ave up on that top side there. They just need to clear these waves and try to keep this tower up as long as possible.
Jinx is on that 3-item mark, has opted in for the lethality Jinx specifically there. Not going to be able to crit as heavy, but does have really good just sort of base damage onto champions like the Ezreal, like the Hui. As that second turret goes down in the mid lane. Bottom lane tier 2, I believe, went down as well here. But Syndra has been kind of pushing unabated right now. Hui on the top side, answering finally. Good chunk of gold going into Ave's pockets. That top lane tier 2, that's about 750 gold going into their pockets here. 11,000 gold, the second richest member, I believe, on the team. Or sorry, third, as Duck is at 11,800. But insert best name, funnily enough, has the most gold in the game right now because he's just been pushing top, getting turrets, he's pushing bottom lane, he's been farming. As funny as this Gragas has been and how crucial it is to the disengage comp, he hasn't really played with them that much, right? Up until these last two fights.
He's level 17 too. Like,
yeah,
that's
he's a big boy.
Stacked Roa, level 17. It's not just the fact that he has the most gold, he also has just the most stats, period. That is a very difficult Gragas to go up against here as Dragon gonna be spawning. This is Soul if it gets picked up by RDG, but I don't think they have the wherewithal to be able to get into this pit. And you can see that they don't believe that either. That was all used by Toasted Toast for reasons unknown. And now they're just gonna move up to that top lane. They just push the mid wave and back away.
Dominus was invested. I don't think Team Yippie knows Dominus was invested, so technically Toasted Toast still has Dominus, according to
invested implies there's like a return on investment. I don't know if that's a I don't know if I can call that one an investment.
Wasted? Yeah, Dominus was wasted.
That one's just putting it down the drain and turning it on the garbage dispenser there. We didn't really do a whole lot with it.
Yeah, unfortunately, Yippie not able to get as much out of this Baron push as I would have liked. Right, I know they picked up the tier 2s, they cleaned up the map here, and all that's left is the inhibitor turrets here. But I feel like if you have this kind of composition and you have that Baron, you've got to kind of push for more. I think Ave took advantage of Team Yippie kind of not really paying attention to him, not having somebody match, and then they kind of got split between like, okay, do we answer the Syndra or do we keep pushing mid? What about bottom lane? Like they kind of got caught between too many decisions instead of just like matching up and respecting their siege and using their Ezreal, using their way appropriately. Zim2O does get caught out with the stun, but should be fine there.
Redemption
should be
invested
okay.
for that. Yeah,
I was
it's another
surprised.
cooldown used, but I mean, I understand it. Yeah, at that point, it's like you don't know if a fight's happening or not. You'd rather use it than risk dying for not. David now getting a
Really?
little
The chickens,
bit
David?
antsy. Yeah, David, I think realizing that maybe this trip to KFC not the best option at this point in time.
We're 30 minutes into the game, brother. I don't know about those
Look,
Raptors. You don't need those.
They
you don't need
look
those.
delicious right now. All right, you know, it's like you wake up and it's like you go through your day. It's now 11:30 at night, and man, if the fried chicken doesn't look good right now.
I guess so. 31 minutes into the game, players probably getting a little antsy here as David just trying to scrounge up as much gold as possible. Is on the Viego. He's one of those champions that is heavily gold reliant, that doesn't want to be behind the damage curve here. But Team Yippie, kudos to them. They've done a pretty good job kind of weathering that early game lead that RDG had off of those like big mistakes that Team Yippie made, but also good engages. And about 1,000 gold, even less than that, kind of separates these two guys. And Yippie on the Hui, on the Ezreal, both at 3 items, have properly scaled up, right? Not to say that Duck and Ove haven't, and they're not, you know, big damage threats here, but it's really difficult for them to kind of get in and do their damage, which is what we talked about. Into Oak.
Duo does
Fine.
back away, doesn't even get rooted there. It's the team just not ready for the follow-up, and Dracian realizing that. Now, we are just waiting for this Baron here that's going to spawn in about 20 seconds, and Team Yippie are aware of that. They are trying to hold the Baron pit here. That is giving the option for RDG to move forward into this mid lane here, but they are a little sketched out right now because you can see there's the threat there. Im2O loses a lot of HP for that pressure, but it is pressure gained, and Team Yippie are able to walk back over to this Baron pit. Toasted Toast coming around as well. Hook is now going to hit. Dracian trying to make something happen with the depth charge. Renata ult used, but not to much avail, as it has just delayed the fight. Another hook hitting as the Zonias comes out. Big stun follows after though, and that's the resets. That's RDG gonna go crazy with it. Double kill over to the Jinx, but the health bars are starting to fade a little bit. The poke is starting to hit. The engages. Ezreal arcade shifts away. They grab the Renata, and that will be all she wrote for that fight. RDG with a 3-0.
Ooh! 3 for 1! 3 for
Okay.
1 there!
You know what? My bad.
Fitz saying, no, it's a 3 for 1 here, but the Baron's still on the menu for RDG here. Big Ezreal ultimate lands, and that's gonna just push them off Baron.
Oh, that's so big. I mean, those are the two members you want to have survive for Team Yippie,
Yes.
right? Like, out of all the people that go down, you want that long range to be there, especially when the HP bars are low, and the threat of
Fitz?
the Baron lies there as Fitz gonna continue to harass Dracian and will back away. That's gold going into RDG's pockets, but again, it feels like it came off of a lack of execution there from Team Yippie.
What we talked about it too is that Team Yippie has to be careful of how much they invest, right? Because we saw the Renata ultimate go down, we saw the explosive cast go down, and nothing really came of it, like you said. And easily they could have just invested the Renata ultimate, backed out there, as now the dragon is going to be taken by Team Yippie here, but really smart. Look at RDG. They're like, you know what? We don't have position on the dragon. We can get back onto the Baron here. Big ultimate almost steals it, but 10,000, they don't burn it as fast as I thought.
No, they don't, and I think they don't realize that either. Hook gonna go wide, and Dracian, David,
Best name has
also
flash.
low HP. Best name. Looking here. Again, the ults need to be able to hit here. We're still waiting on the Ezreal ult, but everything else available for Team Yippie, and RDG realize this. They want to back away. Their gambit for the Baron doesn't pay off.
Yeah, but now Team Yippie can kind of come in here, clear up all this vision. They're still relatively healthy. Health bars on the side of RDG are good here, but they're gonna play for mid prio. They're not gonna allow Yippie to kind of start this Baron without losing something. As Dracian, tanky boy on the Nautilus. But right now, it looks like positioning. I'm gonna give it over to RDG right now. Team Yippie are in a corridor.
Oh no, big stun hits and the Jinx eviscerates Sneaky Turret, who will be going down. Fitz running away as well. The damage is gone. This composition does not work anymore. And Duck is running them through right now. A double kill going over to the Jinx as Best Name running for his life. Will not have much further to go. The root hits and Duck grabs 3. 4 go down total. The fight at RDG look like they're in control again.
It's so confusing because Team Yippie go into a corridor against Syndra and Jinx, right? Like, that's exactly where they want you, so they can land the stuns. A big rocket, like you mentioned, comes in, absolutely, like I said, eviscerates Sneaky Turtle's health bar, and that's gonna finally give the numbers advantage for RDG to take this Baron after poking and prodding and figuring out, okay, can we do this? Can we not? Let's get a fight. Let's do something. They finally get the decisive team fight win here. Fitz does survive, but it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Insert Best Name wasn't there. There was no engage. And once that Jinx rocket comes in and David starts resetting, like you said, the fight's over. It's not winnable for Team Yippie here. It's so interesting because Team Yippie shows really good flashes of brilliance for their composition. They play it well. They get all the poke down. They get the engage. And then they just kind of like walk in autopilot and they don't realize that Ave can land like a big stun and a rocket can come in and that's like the end of your team fight. I mean, it's very Dr. Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, it's just like the small mistakes are extremely punishable, where other compositions, where even if you look at RDG's composition, if they walk into that corridor, Renekton can just kind of ult or even like Nautilus. We've seen Dracian get caught out and find ways out of that. Now, I don't know what this is, but I don't know if it's
Hui's
really
not here.
good here. Yeah, Hui not here for this fight. Toast to Toast now looking to go in, uses the Blast Cone, but that's a lot of members. Ult use from Renata, but now they don't have the disengage.
Where's Hui?
Where is Hui? Where is the Gragasol? It comes through, but it doesn't keep anybody alive as Dark Lord's gonna go down. Sneaky Turk continuing to back away, trying to kite it out, but I don't know what was happening there, but Team Yippie ended up on the wrong side of the fight.
Yeah, and Hui not able to really join them. They're one of their big damage dealers here, not able to kind of participate in that fight. Big blast plant over from Toasted Toast, forces out the Renata ultimate, and they just get pinched again. Team Yippie seems like they just keep getting pinched. They keep getting caught in between multiple champions, and you don't want that. The idea of this poke composition is to keep these guys away, not at an arm's length, but like a 6 feet pole's length away, right? Like they want to keep them very far. They want to range leech as much as possible. Big ultimate, big rocket hits. That's going to take a good chunk of Fitz's health bar out. That's going to begin the siege onto this bottom lane inhibitor. The base has been cracked open. I don't know if Team Yippie have the juice to end this game, but I don't even know if they have the juice to continue playing this. They just haven't found the right team fight scenarios, and RDG are so tanky.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, too, is, like, I feel like they're lacking a little bit of knowledge on how to play this. Like, I don't think of Ezreal and Hui as champions that want to play from behind the enemy team here, as Dark Lord going in, doesn't have the team to help out. The ult comes through, but it is not enough. Will eventually fall. Big Renata ultimate. It's not helping enough there, because that is now 1-for-1, 1-for-2, actually. Now, Ezreal putting out some damage. Big from Best Name is Obey, using the Zhonya's flashes away. Ezreal trying to do everything possible. Fitz still full health here. The shield's coming through and the health bars are whittling away. Flash forward from Imtuo goes down. The Jinx resets have come through, and the flash forward from Imtuo seals away Team Yippie. A quadra given over to Duck, and I think that's gonna be the game. TP in for the Nexus Towers.
Imtuo flashes in, throws the exhaust onto Duck and says, guys, we can chase these last 2 kills. But that gives the reset, that gives the lethal, that gives the press the attack, that gives the rockets, that just rips through Team Yippie. And they had that fight. They had the numbers advantage. But a small, crucial mistake, Thousand Eyes, rips that team fight win away from them, rips their Nexus away, and RDG off the back of Duck on this Jinx, win this game here.
I am in shock and awe there, because like conceptually I understand the flash forward. Like we can finish this fight, we can kill them, and then just get a lot done because their wave clear is gone, everybody's dead, we have the freedom to push. But it's just that lack of, oh, I can die really fast. I'm Renata, I am not a tanky member here, I can go down immediately, and the resets are the dagger through the heart for Team Yippie, who just go down. It's so sad because, like you said, the flashes of brilliance were there. So when the composition worked, it really did work. But there was just so much like getting caught behind enemy lines, just trying to. When we saw Best Name just kind of get caught out in bot lane for nothing there, those mistakes can't happen.
Yeah, and you talked about how punishable those small errors are, right? That's probably the most punishing thing, right? Is that Imp2O flash, not having his team behind him, right? Not understanding, that his team isn't there to support him, right? Gets the exhaust down, gets as much as he can done, right? With the E, with the Q. But Best Name is not there. Fitz is not there. Turt actually used his arcane shift out of the fight because he was losing that 1v1 earlier to Duck there. And so you just don't have the ability to kind of understand like, oh, my team can't follow up on this. If I die, this game's over. And unfortunately, Duck does pick up that kill. Ave lands a really big stun, and I think that just kind of sets up for everybody to go down. A quadra kill from Duck. That's gonna seal the deal for that game too. RDG they just had like an easier comp, right? Like we talked about how hard it would be for them to kind of get onto the Ezreal. But if you have an easier comp to execute and Team Yippie is not playing, like a 95% out of 100% game or 100% out of 100% game, eventually you're going to lose the ability to do things in the game. And Yippie just kind of felt like they were always on catch up. They always had to like cover up their mistakes. They're always like one step behind. It felt like one step forward, two steps behind kind of thing.
Yeah, it's tough, but now we are tied 1-1 in this series. We are going to be going to a game 3, but we need some time to set that one up. So we're going to send it to a quick break here, guys, as we get ready for our draft for game number 3. You don't want to miss this one. We'll be right back after this.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, from a very short break and tuning back into the BOL Masters Week 7 matchup between Team Yippie versus Rubber Ducky Gaming. We had a very exhilarating Game 2 with a intense ending. RDG's very own AD carry actually ends up cleaning up the last team fight, gets a massive quadra kill, and that allows Team RDG to push into the Nexus. Tough game for Team Yippie, and if they lose this series, might be something that haunts them
Yeah.
for the next week. But we're back, and for anyone that's uninformed, we are in the first season or the first iteration of Full Fearless in BOL Masters here. So those grayed out champions cannot be picked by either team here. So those 20 champions are not available for this series, right? It is a best of 3, so this will be the final game between Team Yippie and RDG. Both of these guys fighting for that oh so coveted seeding and fighting for that oh so coveted bye potentially for one of these teams. As now the Nocturne does get let through here. Yippie ends up first picking that, but a Lulu Cog Slam. RDG can really play spoiler for this dive composition, right? Starner's not available, but Maokai is up. Poppy is a champion. Like, there are a lot of ways for RDG to index into protect the Kog'Maw comp. This Nocturne is not going to have a fun time. And Yippie's going to just index into, like, Ahri Nocturne. I'm very interested to see where both these team comps kind of the trajectory of them, because it's like now they're definitely playing completely opposite styles.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, is the big difference I think being like Camille can win a lot of matchups here if you just play it correctly, and can be just a threat, especially in that 1v1 scenario here. So it might be saying like, okay, Kog'Maw Lulu might be a problem. Nocturne may not have a great time going on to the Kog'Maw, but if we pick the Ahri, if we pick the Camille, and we get there is no way we are getting Camille Fiora in the top lane.
Yeah. Yeah. Skill matchup. Volatility. Yeah. I love this. We just saw like tanks or like bruisers bashing it out against each other in the past 2 games. It was like Cassante Jax, Gragas Renekton. Now we're just getting a full skill matchup. Now we're just getting like a full whoever gets the lead, whoever gets the kill, the game's over for you. I'm sorry. The lane is not going to be fun here. But crucially, Team Yippie just full sending it, right?
Yeah.
I don't care if you're Cog Lulu. I don't care if you have overgrowth. I don't care if you have polymorph. I'm going to Camille ult you. I'm going to Ahri ult you. And I'm going to Nocturne ult you. And Kog'Maw, you're going to have to pray that your team can peel you.
Yeah, and it's like, especially when you're looking at like, okay, these are champions that can get ahead. These are champions that can come out really strong out of the laning phase. Lulu can be not enough for that. And then you don't have answers, right? Like, yeah, like you said, you have to pray for it. Sometimes your prayers do not get answered, and Team Yippie are kind of hoping for that. They're hoping that they could control their own destiny in this and get ahead early and stomp out this Kog'Maw before he becomes a problem here. We can see also bans by RDG. They are taking out they're taking out the Kaisa, the Zeri, taking out a scaling champ that can match the Kog'Maw, and a champion that pops off really hard in that big game that can go toe to toe.
If RDG lock Ivern here, that's going to be so savant. Instead, they're going to go...
I think that's a little better.
Yeah, I'd take that. That's a big, nice... I mean, just full index, right? Like, more shields, more healing. Like, let's
Nocturne, Serpent's Fang, first item.
Yeah. I mean, there is still really good pension to go Serpent's Fang here, even for the Lulu shielding. But I like this Sejuani. Good pickup. Can punish the Camille if this Camille decides to go the greedy summoner spells, right? Like the TP Ignite. Synergizes with the Fiora very well. Can go a melee mid laner into the Ahri if they want. Punish that as well. But the Ziggs coming out from Yippie's side saying, you know what? If you don't want to interact in the bot lane, fine. Let's pick Ziggs. we'll do full interaction. We'll no interaction. Oh, and we'll bust your turret down in like 10 minutes because you're not going to be able to wave clear against us. The rel is a nice added touch, although I find it very hard to believe that this rel is going to be able to get into position unless it's through the cover of the Nocturne ultimate.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little tough here. The Ziggs
Oh.
is also interesting too, just because
Oh.
it is that like I don't want to engage with that Kog'Maw. I don't want to do anything with that. We are just gonna wave clear, try to make you miss CS under tower, and go from there. The Cassiopeia was an interesting hover there because I think honestly, when you're looking at Nocturne, Ahri, Camille, Rel, like these are all champions that want to dive towards you, but
Whoa!
the Akali is gonna be locked in. It's game 3, final game of the regular season, and we're just locking in everything that's a skill matchup, I guess.
I like these solo lanes. I love these solo laners. They don't care. RDG solo laners, by the way, I would argue, at least their mid laner has been outperforming Team Yippie's so far. Fitz has been kind of getting the short end of the stick, and Ave has been playing very, very well. I will say, though, insert best name did win the 1v1, the Gragas into Renekton in my mind. Renekton came back with 2 kills and was still struggling to deal with him. So I like these solo lanes. I like what they're doing. RDG saying, you know what, if you wanna hands check, we'll hands check, and we'll see who's the better player here. Bot lanes though, just going full uninteractive. They're like, I just play League of Legends, man. I don't really care.
I'm just here so I can get fined, right? Like I'm just here so I get CS. I like, just try to stay alive and show up for those fights. Now, I do worry a little bit about the overall damage that Yippie have, right? Like Ziggs does damage, but does damage by throwing out spells. It's cooldown dependent. You don't have the constant damage, the DPS to work through something like a Sejuani here. And that might come into play with how many times we saw just like the team fights break out in the mid to late game of our previous game. That worries me a little bit for Yippie.
Very sporadic from Yippie is how I would call it. It kind of felt like both teams waffling around the mid lane, and then Yippie kind of like they just got antsy. Like a kid with ADHD, they're just like, oh, let's go, come on, let's just do it. I'm tired of this. And I don't know if that's necessarily going to work again with Team Yippie. Granted, they have the buttons to do that. Nocturne Ultimate, Camille Ultimate, Ahri Ultimate can all just kind of say, you know what, I'm tired of waiting. Let me just press these buttons, and if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Well, on the side of RDG, they've got to be a bit more patient. They've got to kind of wait on the cooldown of Kog'Maw's W. Make sure that Lulu has all her spells up, right? Make sure that Fiora has a good flank. Fiora's biggest weakness in my mind is actually getting into the fight. They don't really have the best ways. Not insane gap closers. They have that small dash, but realistically, a lot of the time what you'll see with Fiora is that they'll just be running into the fight and they can actually never get any damage off because the other team is like, all right, we'll just walk away now and we'll just kite you out. Perfect champions to do that on Team Yippie's side here as well. So a lot to consider. Team Yippie, I would argue on an interesting composition. Both RDG and Yippie have easily executable comps. They've got good buttons. They understand when their go buttons are. Sejuani Ultimate should open up a lot of opportunities for this Akali to get the assassination off. Kog'Maw Lulu is a very set standard lane. You understand how to play it. As long as you understand when your power spikes are with the W going on to the Kog'Maw, both Lulu's and Kog'Maw's W, that's when you can trade. That's when you can fight. I like both of these compositions, but I feel like Yippie have the better ability to punish side lane. And that's the big thing with Nocturne.
Definitely, but we're gonna have to see how it shakes out for our final game of the regular season, guys. We're gonna see if Yippie or RDG can close it out, get that last win, and get the better seeding going into playoffs. We're gonna take a break before we get into game number 3, but you don't want to miss it, guys. It's gonna come right after this.
Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome, everybody. We did get a little bit of a classic Riot Games error. We did miss the
Yippee!
first 2 minutes of the game here. Nothing crazy happened, though. No summoner spells blown, I believe. Or
Yeah.
actually, I lied. Imto actually did burn a flash somewhere around the area. But other than that, no kills, nothing too crazy. I am Shibby, your color caster here with Thousand Eyes as Dark Lord, flash for flash.
Oh, we're just going right into it in first blood, going over to Yippie again. We saw stats before we got in here that they had 90% first blood rate, and you know what? The numbers are going up, my friend.
Yep, and for everybody just joining us here, this is the final game between Team Yippie and Rubber Ducky Gaming, a best-of-3 series, the final week before playoff starts, and both of these teams fighting for that seeding here, trying to get that bye, as Team Yippie ended up taking Game 1, RDG ended up taking Game 2 in a very exciting fashion now. Game 3, full fearless, all cards on the table, and Insert Best Name has already picked up a kill for himself, has punished Toasted Toast, who doesn't have Flash or TP, but you look on Insert Best Name side, all summoners available. This lane might just be over because of how volatile these two champions are.
Exactly, yeah, it's so hard to do much here, and Camille hasn't gotten back yet, so Toasted Toast TPing back in to just keep the pressure on the wave, but Insert Best Name, it's supposed to be Fiora early that has a little bit more control, but when you get the ganks involved and Camille starts to scale, gets a lot harder here. We'll be able to catch this wave. I would imagine probably gonna back pretty shortly after as well, and we'll see where things go in terms of items here, because man, Toasted Toast has a lot to do here. Oh my goodness.
Toasted Toast going to be eating a lot of those. The mana bar is quickly draining, but Dark Lord, with that gank, has actually netted himself some chickens as well. 32 CS to the 28 of David, so one camp lead right now.
Yeah, they're going in though, and I don't know if Dark Lord should have been there. Got a little bit too hungry for the chickens, made a little bit of a boo-boo, and now is trying to run away as Hiptuo. Right place, right time to make sure Fitz gets out, but it is a loss of a jungler for Team Yippie.
Loss of buffs, loss of momentum, we'll call it, or time here. As lucky, the consolation prize for Team Yippie is that kill did go on to David there and not Ave. I think Akali, especially Ave, with double buffs, would have really put the screws to Fitz here, as both of these guys have been trading blows back and forth since game 1. As Duck is putting the pressure on because Imtuo did opt in for that roam. Other than that, Dark Lord should be on his on the current time, should be able to hit his level 6 on pace, as he actually is going to try to get involved super early. Ward in that tribush should spot some stuff out. Imtuo just kind of being a mosquito in the mid lane right now.
Yeah, and I mean, can do that. It is Ziggs in the bot lane, but I actually want to ask you about that too, because it's you are opting to give Kog'Maw a free lane and say, we're going to get Ziggs in the bot lane, basically let him be alone and let Imtuo roam around the map, and I just like, it feels like a very high risk, because if you, instead of getting an aggressive bot lane carry to go alongside this Rel and try to outfight this Cog early, you're trying to make things happen on the other side of the map.
Yeah, and realistically, there is a window, right, for Team Yippie's composition, and it's slowly but surely shrinking there. And eventually, they're going to try to have to fit their whole body through the size of a pencil hole, right? And that's not going to work, because that window is going to be closed, and RDG is going to have Kog'Maw scaled up. They're going to have their Fiora scaled up, right? Ave is going to start one-shotting Ziggs here. So there is a window for Team Yippie here, but they got to act fast. They've got to keep the pressure onto them. Grubs is a very good start, especially with Camille and Ahri as your side laners. Things can get really, really dicey if left alone, as well as Ziggs. If they can get to that 6 Grubs mark, these pushes, these punishes on these team fights could mean a tier 2 down very, very quickly. So I need to see Team Yippie keep the pressure on. Dark Lord's first couple ultimates, these Nocturne ultimates, are going to be crucial in picking up objectives, kills, and getting a sizable gold lead here. They cannot be even out of laning kills.
Oh, fight breaking out in the top side. There is that first Nocturne ult, and it will be successful. Toasted Toast goes down again as Insert Best Name, getting more wins up in this top lane. Team Yippie feeling pretty good so far. Fight
Yeah,
still
our first
going.
ultimate.
Yeah, okay, no, never mind. They backed away.
Yeah, it's kind of scary watching these two guys kind of fight it out, right? Because at a moment's notice, especially with an Ari and a Kali, they can just kind of jump onto each other here. 2-minute cooldown on that Nocturne ultimate, and I always like to say that you've got about 2 to 3 Nocturne ultimates that you can get off before laning phase is over there. So you got that first one off. He'll have his another one up around 9.5 minutes, and then another one will be around the 12 minutes mark, depending on when he uses it here. Those are going to be very crucial. Those laning phase Nocturne ultimates are going to give you the objective lead. They're going to give you credence on the map. They're going to give you everything you need to kind of start pushing the side lane advantage here. So Dark Lord, right now, 1-for-1 on Nocturne ultimates, resulted in a kill, resulted in the Camille getting even farther ahead here. As David is just kind of watching these chickens go down, not really being able to do much. I don't think he was able to smite it away, but just spotting him out is good enough.
Again, just kind of showing up to the restaurant a little bit too late. We've seen that consistently from David, but we'll just back away. And I kind of like how you said this, right? Like TVP, it almost feels like their goal is not to take team fights with this team, right? Like they're not looking to just bash heads with the enemy team. They have the solo lane advantage. They have Camille who can push. They have Ari who can just get people out of position with the ult. The Nocturne ult is a major thing there. They don't want to take those fair 5v5 fights, and I don't think they ever will. It just will get increasingly hard to not take fair fights as the game goes on.
Yeah, because the objectives force you to do it, right? The Dragon, the Baron, so far, and so forth. So they, like I said, they have that window. Yeah, they don't want to take 5v5. They want to throw sand in your face. They want to kick you in the growing. Like they're not trying to fight fair, 1,000. They're definitely trying to use their numbers advantage, use their global presence, and their ability to get onto these side lanes very, very quickly and use that numbers advantage. David is here. Ultimate goes down. 2v2 in the top side.
Nocturne flying in, the paranoia hits, and that is not the Sejuani ult you want to see. David throwing it into the stands, will be trying to get back to the tower, will get the stun, and David gonna seemingly survive, but it's another death for this Fiora, who is just not gonna be relevant. In comes Ave, trying to get at least something out of nothing here, will go down, and now Camille walking away, getting back over here, and Ave not gonna be able to chase it away. Ave getting something for the team.
Yeah, is able to kind of pick up that overinvestment from Dark Lord and insert best name here, right? That extra couple seconds hammering damage into David allows Ave to get the lane push. And now we see, once again, RDG's bot lane coming up into the mid lane. They're going to try to contest these grubs that are coming up. And I like this. They've done this play twice now. Last game they did it and this game and denied that 6 grub mark. I want to see if they're going to actually be able to kind of execute, as Lulucog, not the best champions early. But I don't know if Ziggs is going to move out of here. It is going to be a 4v4, but it's going to be a different kind of 4v4. Uh-oh, Ave. Look at Ave. Look at Ave.
Ave coming around from behind here. Engage going onto the Lulu, not getting the kill, and Fitz diving for something, will just be digging his own grave as the rest of the team now showing up and teleporting for the Camille. Getting it onto the Kog'Maw, will get the kill. Now turning on to Lulu as well. Ziggs teleporting in. The numbers game has been going back and forth, but the health game has been solidly in favor of Yippie, and they are continuing the fight here. Camille going crazy. Double kill onto this Camille. Cannot get the kill. The CC is coming through. The health bars are barely up, and they'll get Camille. Teleport back in. Fitz has died and risen again. Will get a kill and chase Ave away.
A hectic fight. Fitz goes down, like you said. TP's back in, makes it a 6v5, really, if you can count it, as he comes back to life, gets the confirmed kill, but at Camille, 5-1-2 right now. That guy is turbo fed on the side of Team Yippie here. And RDG, unfortunately, a good chunk of those kills onto their Sejuani, onto the tank, who's going the Build-A-Bear workshop build, right? Locket of Iron Solari, probably going to go to Warmog, but looks like Grubs is going to be taken.
Oh, yeah, Paranoia gonna go down onto Ave. which is a big kill now. They don't have the Akali for this fight, but the numbers currently not in Yippie's favor. The second
Camille.
going to go down, and Camille is now coming in and going on to the Cogmaw. The shields are not going to be enough. Lulu ult isn't either, and Cogmaw goes down, but the damage still a threat here as Nocturne has to back away. Sneaky Turret jumping into the fight here, trying to do something. The poke is coming out, but it is not getting
No
kills.
mana.
The mana bar is falling here. Bit by bit, Yippie going down, but the Lulu falls, and now Toasted Toast using that riposte for something, but the Zig Salt, right time, right place. Yippie get their fight victory, and they'll walk away with a grub to boot.
And Darklord wants to take this, but I think Ave might have something to say about it. Nope, he's
Nah.
gonna go into the mid lane. He's gonna go mid. So over those grubs, over the tiniest of objectives, 2 team fights break out, and both of them eventually go over into the favor of Team Yippie. They are 3,000 gold ahead right now at the 13-minute mark. The laning phase is not real. 4 minutes of this game was just team fighting around that top side.
And it's been team fighting in against the interest here of this Fiora. Toasted Toast has been a little bit burnt this game, and it has not worked out very well. Fiora, like, and that's the problem too, is like Camille is such a like stat stick champion, right? Like you look at when you look at champions, it's like, you know, Riot make a champion. Is the champion mechanics or stat stick? I don't understand the question. It's a good champion, sir, but it's this one, stat stick.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those characters that just gets super far ahead, and when ahead, you can't really answer it with anything, right? Triforce already built in, is gonna already get towards that Ravenous Hydra 7-1 and 3. It's very hard to get back into a game versus a Camille, especially if you're on a champion like Fiora, who like can't even trade. It's a level 8 Fiora, 9 now, just picked to a level 10 Camille. And that's going to give them full top lane priority. Grubs goes in their favor. Now the Herald spawned at 14 minutes, goes into their favor. RDG, yes, you've gotten 2 dragons, but you've arguably rolled one of the worst, you know, souls in the game, especially as a win condition, right? If you want to go late, Cloud Soul's not going to do much for you. You'd have loved Hextech, Infernal, anything else.
Oh,
bot lane.
Nocturne. Paranoia popping here, not coming in though, not in range. Actually went up to the top side as the Fiora went down. And that is a trade in favor there. It's David just showed up to make sure the bot lane didn't die, and they didn't get damage in response. This is so rough.
They
And I don't
couldn't
know.
see.
I don't know if they want to go in on this. There is the exhaust, and it doesn't matter. Sneaky Turret grabs the kill now. Turning on to the Sejuani, who's full health. Will take down the Ziggs, but a TP coming in.
Camille TP.
Not going to do much here. But the problem is now they have a Vey showing up the tower, doing some work here, and now Sejuani hitting the CC. A Vey in the face of this Camille wants to get this kill. It will be a big shutdown.
shutdown.
Will grab it, and a Vey walks away with somebody in the pocket.
Punish the over-aggression from insert best name and Team Yippie here, but with that mid-roam, that's going to give them the charge into the mid lane tier 1. That's going to pick up the turret. That might pick up Toasted Toast. He's going to drive it in. Can they punish? He's trying to ram Fiora, and he does!
No way does he get that, but Fiora escapes. Toasted Toast survives. I love Herald plays. I love funny Herald plays.
I thought he was just going to take the charge into the turret, get the damage off. He's like, no, I want blood. He wants blood.
There's no blood left in this Fiora. She's died 6 times already.
Yeah, it's true. As now the top lane turret goes down, mid lane as well. So at least Fiora has a little bit of time to farm these minions. The big bad Camille isn't here right now as a pause comes in.
Oh no.
That and as we have time to assess this pause, 16 and a half minutes into the game, Team Yippie have garnered themselves a sizable gold lead, right? 3,000 in their favor, let's call it here, as it's 27.8 to about 31,000 here. That window that we talked about has been propped open. There's a 2x4. It's not shrinking as fast anymore, right? Yippie have a little bit more time to play with before this Kog'Maw Lulu comp kind of gets, or this Kaguma Lulu bot lane gets into the position where they can just melt your life bars. And Dark Lord has been doing a fantastic job on these ultimates, getting kills, right? It's not just burning flashes, it's getting themselves kills here as the pause is undone. There's going to be a small pause that happens. It's going to look like the game is stopped. That just kind of happens, unfortunately, with Riot
It's not the
Client.
bug, guys. I swear, please, not
I
again.
hope it's not the bug. I hope it's not the bug. Knock on wood. But now RDG are in a position where they kind of have to be proactive. They got to look for stuff. They got to punish mistakes. When in reality, they probably just wanted to happily, scale up, get their Sejuani in a position, as we do see. No way. Okay. Oh, my heart stopped for a second as that bug did happen.
I was choosing to believe it was cinematic posturing for the.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, now they're put in a position where they've got to try to fight into Camille, Nocturne, Ari, and that's not fun. You don't want to be the proactive team into that because of how fast they can punish that.
Yeah. And not only that, but you have to fight them because they will engage on you. Because you can't not fight them when Camille can fly a screen away with the hook shot, when Nocturne is 2 screens away and just points and clicks on your face and demolishes you. Sneaky Turt gonna get hit by a Sejuani ult, but has the satchel charge to get away. Rel coming in for the protection of A, dodges out from it though, and Sneaky Turt in trouble. Rel ult will keep Sneaky Turt alive. Nocturne trying to do something. Paranoia not gonna get in range in time. No, will jump in for this fight. Lulu
playing
in out of the turret range, and now Dark Lord wants to try and keep them here because here comes Fitz. Charm onto the Lulu. Dracian running away. Will go back over the wall to keep the fight alive here as David will sacrifice himself. Ave coming back in for the fight. Gets charmed. Fitz stays alive, and I don't think Ave's gonna get away with this one. Jumps over the wall. Rel follows Ave at minuscule HP. One more auto will do it, and Imtuo grabs the kill. A tower going in favor of Yippie as they run away with it.
A big overinvestment from RDG here as Tosatos has to watch as he's under leveled. He's below the enemy jungle. Like, he's just not having a fun game here. Fitz living there actually so crucial. Doesn't allow Akali for the escape. That goes down. Another kill, like you said, goes in the favor of Team Yippie. And now that 3,000 gold lead that we talked about, it's a 6,000 gold. It's doubled, right? And they're 1 minute away from Baron. They definitely have the damage to burn this out. Camille's on 2 items. Nocturne's on 2 items. Fitz is going to crest upon that Banshees if he decides to complete it very soon. Do they want to contest this dragon? They have the ability to. They can. They've got the damage, but they don't have the positioning here. They don't want to give too much gold over. They don't want to make crucial mistakes like they did last game. And I think that's smart, as they are going to try to look for something.
Oh, no, they're going in on this. The Nocturne ult coming in. Ziggs ult to follow it up as well. The damage is enough. They don't need the full team for the fight because they've got enough to take 2 members out themselves. It is just 3 taking out the bot lane of RDG, and they can't even get their soul point for themselves. Ave will walk away into the Hextech Ultimatum smokescreen to at least try and do something. Ave actually dodges out. Form that uses the perfect execution, needs to get away, dashes back over to David, who's going to try and walk this Akali away, jumps over the wall. Now they're turning on to David, who has to follow here, but the hook shot's there as well. Grand challenge as the ultimate from Sejuani locks down Camille, and now Sneaky Turt. Dragon has been taken. We're continuing the fight. David goes low HP as now Camille needs to back off. The Nocturne is here, paranoia or not. The damage is pushing people out of the fight, but no one's quitting because there's another death on the Cog Ball, and we're walking away from it. I don't even know anymore. RDG don't have ways to fight anymore.
The amount of times that we saw Camille, or insert best name, dip in, dip out, dip, jump in, jump out, just keeping RDG interested on the hook like bait. And finally, Team Yippie, they take the dragon, they farm some waves, and they're like, wait, I think we're going to try to fight here. And finally, Fitz comes in, picks up a kill with his ultimate. I mean, RDG, They threw everything and the kitchen sink at insert best name here, and they couldn't get it done. They just did not have the damage. They did not have the ability to take him down. And then when Dark Lord arrives, right, when Fitz arrives, then you're cooked, right? You can't do anything. Now it's a 9,000 gold lead. Insert best name just hits you for half your health bar. What are you gonna do?
Perfect execution. I don't think you win that. Best name is a little bit too strong on this one, but here comes the rest of the team. You don't need to win it alone, but you can't win it but even with your team. Paranoia going to just make sure Camille can get out. Actually going in as the Zigzalt comes too. There's too much damage. Lulu will fall. Dark Lord gonna trade his life for that one, but there's enough damage to come through on to David. Will force the Sejuani back. And that is another win for Yippie. I also want to reiterate that previous fight, I casted 2 Cogmaw deaths in that same fight.
Yeah, Duck just not having a fun game here as Imduo doesn't want to leave any survivors.
I can't even cast, like, we'll trade that one, right? Like, I just don't cast that one, so now it evens out, right? Duck, not having a great time.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's Fitz just matching toast to toast in the bottom side here. And we talked about that window for Team Yippie being open. 1,000, it's a garage door that's open now. It's not a window. Anyway, it's a giant renovation of the home. Half the house is completely open concept. The garage door is open. Like, it's done.
The bank vault just left open. Take the money and go, guys.
Yeah, Team Yippie have garnered themselves a massive lead, have not allowed RDG's composition to scale into anything as the Baron is up 22 minutes in, and they should just start this, right? They don't need to be apprehensive around this Baron. They don't need to be scared to take this because realistically, RDG don't have the ability to fight.
Oh, but guess who does? It is Team Yippie. There is a Vey trying to walk out of this one, and without the Akali, I don't think there's a chance for RDG to make this happen. Caldwell goes down again. David flashing over the wall for some semblance of life left here. Dashes, avoids the stun, but it is pieces left of RDG as they scatter in all directions. Yippie are just tearing them open.
Team Yippie stomps the ground and RDG scatter like ants. And unfortunately, they're not going to be able to kind of defend their base. As Four Grubs is here. Insert best name. He's going to pressure this top side. Well, look at mid. Look at mid. Under siege against a Zig who has the satchel bomb available. One of these turrets will eventually go down as Dark Lord is coming back into the fight. As we see Toast to Toast taking the recall, finally has to understand, like, hey, if we want to defend these turrets, all 5 of us have to be here. We cannot hold it as 4. As they're going to look to make a play on to insert best name.
Paranoia
and they do
is up here. This is the Nocturne in the bot lane, and it is just going to be Camille walking off this one. Hook shots there, and they don't have the mobility to follow up on that. You can see dodging out on even the skill shots here, but there is Imtuo who was caught out. Rel hobbling away from this Akali. Big stun, the locket as well. Charm not going to hit, but Charm not going to be needed here as the ult comes through. There is Dark Lord grabbing that kill, and now Best Name has back in. Big ult from the Lulu, but I don't know if it's enough here. Duck putting out some damage, but the Camille is too strong. And the health bars fall apart, just like RDG's chances at winning this series. The Charm will seal the deal, and Ace goes down, and this is definitely some inhibitors at least falling.
20 seconds, 15 seconds on a Vey here. They don't have Baron. Team Yippie should be able to knock one of these down. Inhibitor turret is at half health. Mid lane inhib should go down here. Duck is up in 10 seconds. They're going to take the dragon. They're going to pick up the Cloud Dragon here, not let RDG pick that up, get into their soul point. You have to believe they're going to reset as the TP comes in. Ave is TPing behind them. He's like, guys, I have the flank. I have the vision. I can see.
They're trying to make something.
He's blind. He's blind. He doesn't see it. He doesn't know.
Charm hits followed by the hook shot, and Best Name likely gonna run this one down. Nope, nearsighted. No, got it before the smoke screen came out, and Dark Lord just pops in on the Akali's head, and another death for RDG.
The strongest member as well going down here. That should be the trigger for this Baron to start here. Team Yippie just so far ahead in gold. 11,000 right now. They can just take this Baron. They don't want to 50-50 it. They don't want to flip it at all. They want to make sure David goes down, but they've just got so much damage. I believe they can burn it. They've got good vision on top of this red side here, and they've snuffed the vision out of the pit as well. Fitz is going to put himself in position. He's going to try to get a charm off. He's going to make sure that whoever walks in here is going to take a ton of damage. Now Baron's at 5,000. David, is he just going to try to go for this deal? It'll stall the game out. It won't win them the game, but it will stall the pushes. Now they're going to look for a fight instead.
Yeah, they're actually pulling off the Baron. They don't want to go for the smite fight. Charm goes into the riposte. Toast to Toast gets away. Ave looking for the angle right now, but goes into the Nocturne. They're just going to walk into this Camille. The Camille goes down. Shutdown going over to Duck. Ave buying time for the team to catch up here. The Akali is too much of a threat, and that will be 4 members walking away. The Camille finally falls, and now RDG might look to start this Baron.
Very confused as they decided to peel off the Baron at 5,000 HP. You just gotta burn it at that point. As Imp2O and the rest of the gang can't do anything, but look at mid lane, look at Fitz. He's trying to end the game. He's like, screw the Baron.
Yeah, he's just saying, annoy them, stop them from backing, keep them on the Baron and make it a threat here. Paranoia getting used, but cannot get in range here in time. No, stops back. Fitz is still pushing the towers. That is a death. The Baron gets picked up, but they can't stop the backs. So there are going to be members to stop Fitz here. Will not be able to get this tower. Has the ult, but doesn't even need it to walk away. The tower stays up just barely, but a lot lost for RDG just to get this Baron.
RDG pick up the Baron. They can stall out a little bit, but like you said, base cracked open. Nexus turret at like a sliver of health, if anything. And now the top lane inhibitor turret goes down. Bottom lane inhibitor turret went. They've got an open base. One Nexus turret, as Yanni would say, Thousand Eyes, enough blood in their big toe right now as this turret is going to slowly but surely regen here, but it's not going to get nearly back to full health in time.
The Nexus is the heart pumping blood into the turret there.
Yeah. And the thing is, I don't know if Team Yippie was forced to do that. I don't think they needed to do that. They didn't have to kind of push mid and give Baron away. They're so far ahead right now, and this is kind of some of the issues we see with some of these lower level teams. When they're far ahead, they kind of just don't understand that they can force objectives and they can force everything and they can kind of just force RDG to play into them. The fact that they peeled off that Baron at 5,000 HP kind of shows how unfamiliar they are in these kind of situations. Because there was, like, realistically, if David runs in, he dies, right? And you can kill him, or you can just keep the Baron at 5,000 HP. You don't have to DPS it. A lot of different ways they could have taken this. They do get more out of the trade, or did you get the Baron? But like you said, inhibitor turrets go down, Nexus turret goes down. One bad team fight from RDG, and the game's over.
And that's the problem, too, because we've seen, I don't want to call them bad team fights, but losing team fights from RDG for most of this game. It's you have not struggled to find a fight that has gone well for them, and this is another one that doesn't look very good. Paranoia just to push away.
He gets forced.
Yeah, this is so many things, and the base is getting pushed on by just the minions here. They get the TP out of Ave, and then Yippie back off because they know there is too much to deal with here. Ave just walking back. It is a mad scramble for RDG to try and get at least something here because they are trying to keep themselves breathing.
Yeah, and because of that, TP gets invested, because they're scrambling around the base. It's going to open up some gaps. It's going to open up some windows for either this top lane or this bottom lane inhibitor to go down. They just have to make sure this Nexus doesn't go down. Top lane hits. 30% HP. Let's see.
They're trying to go in. The Cogball is a threat now. Just 3 or 4 autos took Camille half health, but there comes the Nocturne. Luluwall to try and keep Duck alive. Currently working. Duck able to front to back on this one, and Dark Lord gonna go down. Flash forward to get onto Sneaky Turret. They're gonna try and confirm this kill. They are gonna lose an inhibitor on the bot side. Meanwhile, Best Name taking another inhib. Will try to back away here. Got a hook shot over to the wall. Getaway. The Akali E doesn't hit, and Yippie are gonna trade themselves some objectives. Charm is going to hit, and Ave goes down. Fitz coming in clutch as the team continuing to chase here because there's another dragon on the table. TP coming in for Toasted Toast.
That's going to be soul point for RDG when they pick this up. They're going to use their numbers advantage. And like you said, Kog'Maw's a real champion. He's at 3 items. Camille's pushing bot, though. They don't have the empowered recalls anymore. No Baron. They're going to try to just set back. They're going to go. I think they're okay.
He's going to go for the inhib. Yeah, get the inhib and get out. No hook shot here. Wants to go for the third inhib. I don't know if this is going to work out. Realizes that, starts to back away. And Best Name continuing to move. Stun, gets buffered by the hook shot. And now mid lane, Toasted Toast, exhausted, flashes away. More resources used as RDG feel their backs pushing into the wall at this point.
Yeah, backs up against the Nexus. If they haven't given up, they're still relying on this Kog'Maw Lulu. 3 items on the Kog'Maw. He's got the Flicker Blades, he's got the Ginsus, and the Bork. You mentioned 3 autos, and insert Best Name Life Bar was gone almost in an instant. It's tough. And now he's picked up the Jack Show as well, so Duck's going to be even harder to kill. You can't just Nocturne ult him. You've got Moonstone and Ardent on the side of Dracian. There's a window, there's an opportunity. We're 32 minutes into the game, and that big gold lead shrinking because of Kog'Maw, shrinking because of this late game composition that RDG somehow managed to hold out. There's just one more team fight. It's one more Nexus turret, and Yippie can take the game, but they just haven't been able to crack the code.
It's been very tough because Duck has finally gotten online. The Lulu is strong enough to keep Kog'Maw alive at the moment. The window that you said, it is dwindling, and it is a very worrying thing for Yippie to try and fight themselves into. David now pushing forward here, gets hit by that fear, backs away, and now they will grab the inhibitor as Yippie don't want to push their luck now. Baron going to be spawning in 20 seconds. They want to back away, force the super minions into the base, and force RDG into a lose-lose situation. Ave dodges away. Hextech ultimatum used as the paranoia hits as well. Just walks out of it. Doesn't want to stay in this one. The team fight is not working out well for Yippie. They've been caught out. Is going nuclear right now. David's still alive and they can't touch the Kog'Maw. David will stay up. Ave continuing to push forward, but they can't take the fight any further. They need to get back to their base. There's minions pushing on their Nexus tower. It is close to falling and they're getting gate kept by their own base here. All hits from Sneaky Turret that's going to stop the backs, and they're going to try to push in here. Super minions will come in, but I think the backs will hit in time. Baron hits, TP on, you can't TP to that tower. It's going to get taken down. Sneaky Turret now flashes away. Fitz getting away with the team as Ave tries to push Fits into the corner. No, gets away. The minions pushing on the base, but the Baron gonna help out, and still RDG are alive.
34 minutes in, they've worked so hard. Team Yippie finally get the Nexus turret down. They've got 3 super minion waves pushing in, double souped up. But it doesn't matter. The Baron empowered recalls come in. The TP doesn't matter because you've got 4 members coming back to base. And unfortunately, Sneaky Turret and Fitz could not get the job done. And Duck is on his final item component. He's going to hit full build very, very soon. This guy, through blood, through sweat, through tears in this game, they've managed to stick it out. And Thousand Eyes, there was an 11k gold lead at one point in this game. Yippie was 11,000 gold in. Their apprehensiveness, their reluctance to force Barons, their reluctance to try to push the advantages, instead turning this game into chaos, has allowed RDG to come back in. There is 2,000 gold that separates these two teams. It's 35 minutes in. There's a Kog'Maw that's pretty much on full itemization here. What does Team Yippie do? Because now they cannot just run and press R against these guys.
Yeah.
It's impossible to take down Duck.
And the thing too is, like, you think about, okay, when you are ahead you have map advantage. You try to take objectives, force fights because the other team doesn't want to lose the objectives. There is no Baron. It has been taken by RDG. There's a dragon in 15 seconds, but that's just a third dragon going over to Team Yippie. You don't really care about that when your inhibitors are down and your Nexus is open.
Perfect.
You're just trying to hold out here. They're going to go for this mid lane tower here, and they will grab it. But I think they got to back here soon so they don't stretch themselves too thin. That is what the call will be. Dragon gonna get picked up, but to what end? This doesn't give Yippie anything, and it's just giving time for RDG to get their inhibitors back up.
Duck is on his final item. He got the Runins available. The only thing he's left to upgrade is the Zephyr here. This Kog'Maw at full strength, at maximum capacity right now. And you can see that Team Yippie are trying to sniff around. They're trying to, TP into the base. They're trying to, flip the wall, go over the wall if you're Camille, right? Hook shot over, see if they can hit the Nexus. Inhibitors are up both mid and bottom lane. Now, the thing is that there is a lot of poke on the side of Team Yippie. There is the ability to kind of pick and prod if someone's on the side here. They are looking with the Nocturne ultimate. They're trying to do something. They're bunched up. They're all bunched up. They can't do anything. Dark Lord goes in. He would have died there. And Fiora is now on 3.5 items. Granted, he's still very far behind the Camille, but that's a scary Fiora. That's someone that can side lane now. It's all working in RDG's favor.
I mean, the big thing too right there was also hookshot. Best Name was trying to find that angle. Didn't find it, but the paranoia had already been used. And that's a cooldown you don't want to waste here. Already halfway back up, so not the worst thing in the world, but it is now a window where, again, RDG get to buy time. The inhibitors still working their way back up. When that third inhibitor gets up, as it is just about to be, all of a sudden, a lot of fear is off RDG's back, because that's a lot of extra time that needs to be used to get an inhibitor down in the case of a backdoor.
Open Nexus, open inhibitors, no turret at all, 0. It's just them, their hands, and their champions. That's all that RDG can really rely on here. And so far, it's been treating them well. They're trying to get their wave states in order on the side of Team Yippie, as we did see Toasted Toast pushing that top side. Mid lane is going to be pushing in their favor. It's really tough, because if RDG walk into Team Yippie, walk into an Ahri, into a Camille, they could die, right? So they kind of have to push their vision out a little bit here, as David is just running forward, charging in. Avey is going to find the...
No, there is the perfect execution. Doesn't get the kill. Avey grabs the Ziggs, finally jumps back there. Charm not gonna hit. Duck, where are you? You're still alive. They can't kill the Kog'Maw, and that's the problem. Fitz running away here, but just trying to distract Ghost, Flash, everything being used here, as now Fitz running to the base here will get run down by David. The ult's trying to do something, but David grabs the kill. Now, I do think that time is bought for something here, but it is still going to be a lot lost for Yippie.
It might be the game here. Death timers are very high right now. We're 39 minutes into the game's Ducky turn is going to be up in about 10 seconds, as well as Camille. They should be able to crack the inhibitor open. I don't think they're going to go for the Nexus. Big ultimate from Imp-Duo, but that's just a stall. I don't know if you're tanky enough, buddy.
Exhaust used, the Lulu ult used on Avey. Not going to be there for Duck if needed, but I don't think they're going to use it here. They're just going to back away, not push their luck. They got an inhibitor when their Nexus was being hit already. RDG feel back in control. They feel strong. Baron about to spawn though, and that's 3 back. Stop. The HP bars aren't in a good place for this one at RDG. Need to figure out an answer for this.
TP's available for both Avey and Toasted Toast, but those aren't the members that are low. It's the Lulu. It's
Avey
the
going.
Fiora.
It's the perfect execution. Gonna take Sneaky out, and that's a member gone already. TP being used by Fitz. That's not where the fight is, Fitz. Fitz is just trying to for the back door as Dark Lord now trying to stop. They're gonna push, stop the CC from hitting. The TP gets through, and Fitz. The members of the bottom. This is open. They're gonna hit it. They're not gonna be able to be stopped. Avey, Charm pushes them away, and Yippie find their way to a victory.
how it ends. A double TP into the bot side because Team RDG could not get their backs off. They could not get their wave states in order. Bot lane was pushing just enough for both of the solo laners to TP down there. To get the inhibitor, to get the open nexus, the call from Team Yippie to say, you know what? Fuck the fight. Let's go for the nexus. I'm sorry, Bully. That's my one for the season. But that takes balls of steel. And Team Yippie come out with the win. 1,000. I don't even think you're speechless. There's no way.
I mean, like, I'm amazed, and I look back at like what happened here, and I say I saw the chase that they did on Fitz earlier, right? They chased Fitz for so long. Specifically, Duck goes for the chase on Fitz for so long. That's your tower damage. That's your push gone for a long time chasing Fitz. They over-index into trying to get into that inhibitor. They get the inhib, but they don't have the time to back, forces them into that fight, which loses them the game. It's that like chain of events there that you look back on and say, we made a small mistake that cost us everything on that. And I'm sure RDG have to be kicking themselves, but man, Yippie, when the cards were down and they were starting to get pushed back on, they made a gutsy call that got them not just a game victory, but a series.
Got them a series that got them potential advantageous seeding as well. I mean, what a game to cap off the final week of regular season for BOL Masters 1,000. Two top level teams at the end of the day, backs against the wall for both of these guys. RDG had no turrets available, and for 15 minutes we're stalling out, we're winning team fights. Yippie scrambling, looking for the opportunities, guerrilla warfare tactics, whatever you want to call it. They end up getting the win. But
a win's a win, right? Like
a win's a win. A win's a win. A win's a win. Team Yippie doing pulling a miracle, I would say, or a rabbit out of a hat. We talked about that window closing, the garage door. Then it became a small window, and you've got to fit your body through the size of a pencil hole. I mean, I don't know. They didn't wait for the window. They just burst through with a bulldozer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like the window closed and they just smashed the glass.
Yeah,
they did not
like
they didn't care about whether the window was open or closed. They said, we're going in, and they absolutely went in and got their win. Man, what a finish. Not just to our series, but to the end of the regular season. We are just getting into playoffs, and the games already look like this.
It's a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. It's fun for me. It's fun for the audiences.
I'm not playing fun. The games. I'm having fun.
Yeah. Yeah, but definitely both of these teams gonna go into playoffs, gonna reassess how they come into these games, come into these gold leads, and see what they can do. Definitely going to clean up their act here, because better teams would not let that happen. But at the end of the day, Yippie, they come out, situational League of Legends. They're able to come in with the series win 2-1 over Rubber Ducky Gaming. The standings will be updated, but that was the final week of the regular season here. And next week will, I believe, be the start of playoffs. We don't get like a 1 week bye or anything like that. It's just going to be at the start. But I mean, just an insane game here. Any final thoughts before any final thoughts before I close this out?
I'm expecting Shippy to not be here next week, and I'll be filling in with Yanni. We'll see how that one goes. But congratulations to Team Yippie. I cannot imagine the elation that they are feeling right now, and with their seeding advantage, we'll go, I hope, far from this. I hope we get more banger games like that one for sure throughout the playoffs, but I am just excited to see where the playoffs take us.
Yeah, so am I. But that will do it for us. Both myself and Thousand had a fantastic time casting these games. Thank you so much to the Blue Otter fans, and a very special thank you to Chippy behind the glass, making us look well. That may be the end of BOL today, but on Tuesday, we've got BOL Emerald. On Wednesday, we've got BOL Platinum. On Thursday, we've got BOL Diamond and Gold here, so there's tons of BOL action readily available, as well as on the main Blue Otter channel. We have partnered with Parth and Cyto GG to give you guys the Cyto Combine, and that is going on, I believe, 7 days a week. It happened today, it's going to happen tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you name it. It's going to be there for the next couple weeks, so there are tons of League of Legends actions for you guys to watch. Same time, same place, throughout the whole week. Thank you so much. I'm going to go eat dinner. It's about 8 o'clock for me. I don't know about the East Coast guys. It might be bedtime for y'all.
It's 11 o'clock here. Look, I'm hyped. Like, I don't think I'm sleeping for another 5 hours at this point.
Well, there you go. We're not sleeping for another 5 hours. So go home, go play League of Legends, go do what you need to do. But that's it for us.